Chapter 1573. With the sound of the Soul Seeker gong, the battle began. This time, Knight Sorrow changed his tactics. He stomped his feet and rushed forward. When he got close to Lang Yi, he waved his Space Splitter Spear violently and started to swing, smash, and stab at Lang Yi. Fierce. Knight Sorrow was very fierce. He was still using his strength to fight. Although he would become the 10th champion if he won today, he didn't want to reveal his trump card. Lang Yi was a little dumbfounded. In the past, Knight Sorrow's fighting style was to defend passively and look for opportunities. He had never taken the initiative to attack like this. During this period of time, Knight Sorrow used the time attribute to slow down the attack speed of others. He didn't use it to increase his own speed. He only used his strength. Now that he was attacking, his speed wasn't fast, but it was extremely fierce. The energy on the Space Splitter Spear and the Spear Light on the Spear Blade were very domineering. Lang Yi's expression changed. He could only wave his trident and fight with Knight Sorrow. The space in the cage wasn't big. Even if he retreated, he couldn't dodge Knight Sorrow's Spear Light. Knight Sorrow was using his strength to fight now. The last thing he was afraid of was a violent clash. Lang Yi wanted to curse. "Can't you fight like you used to?" Now that he was going crazy, he was suppressed from the start. He didn't even have the chance to use his secret arts. The battle was very intense. The two of them were exchanging blows. Because Knight Sorrow's speed was slow, there were times when he could not block Lang Yi's weapon attacks. He would attack with his left hand and throw a punch at Lang Yi's trident. Lang Yi had no choice but to use his soul attack. This was his biggest trump card. Lang Yi's soul attack was a soul spear formed by his soul power. It pierced towards Knight Sorrow's Spirit Sea. However, Knight Sorrow's head flashed and blocked Lang Yi's soul attack. Green Lotus Jade Bracelet. Knight Sorrow activated the Green Lotus Jade Bracelet. But during this time, Lang Yi's trident hit Knight Sorrow's shoulder. Knight Sorrow could have dodged, but in order to get close to him and end the battle as soon as possible, he didn't. Being stabbed in the shoulder by Lang Yi's trident was very painful. However, this was nothing to Knight Sorrow, who had cultivated the Myriad Tao Tome. He had experienced pain countless times more painful than this. Knight Sorrow reached out with his left hand and grabbed the handle of Lang Yi's trident. Then, he swung his right hand forward and grabbed the middle of the Space Splitter Spear. Then, he began to stab Lang Yi's body with all his might. At the same time, he added Gui Yuan Killing Essence to the Space Splitter Spear. The explosive power of the spear was so strong that every stab created a hole. Lang Yi wanted to retreat, but Knight Sorrow didn't let him. While Lang Yi was still in shock, Knight Sorrow had already grabbed Lang Yi's right hand and controlled the distance between them. After a few stabs, Knight Sorrow stabbed Lang Yi's dantian, a crucial part of his body. Using the Gui Yuan Kill Essence's time energy, he directly broke Lang Yi's dantian. In front of Lang Yi's terrified eyes, Knight Sorrow sent him flying with a kick. Then, with a wave of his right hand, the Space Splitter Spear shot out a spear light and pierced Lang Yi's head, shattering his Spirit Sea and ending the battle. Amidst the silent onlookers, Yi Shang stepped forward and took Lang Yi's trident, as well as his storage ring. However, in the blood battle arena, the resources obtained were relatively poor. Almost all of the storage rings were empty. Because everyone who came here was participating in a life and death battle. Even if they brought some, they would only bring battle resources. The other resources would be left with the main body. However, weapons and armor were normally brought along. After all, this was a matter of life and death. Walking out of the cage, Knight Sorrow raised his trident with his left hand to show his victory. When other people won, there would be cheers because the people who bet were happy. After all, some people won. However, this was not the case for Knight Sorrow's victory. There were curses everywhere. Many people lost again. Knight Sorrow's roly-poly seemed to only have strength and was weak in other aspects, but he just wouldn't fall. When Fu Wu announced Knight Sorrow's victory, Knight Sorrow looked at the fat pawnshop owner with a thick neck and a red face. Then, he smiled because this fat pawnshop owner's 300,000 was a fake check again. The fat pawnshop owner in red robes was very angry. Knight Sorrow's sudden attack was very rough, but it actually killed Lang Yi. The fat pawnshop owner's 300,000 Saint Spirit Stones were gone. It was a heavy loss. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands at the crowd. Although he was facing a group of people who wanted to kill him, he still had a smile on his face. Then, He returned to the private room where Dachira and the others were watching the battle. Today's berserk was very interesting. I think many people will think that you can't hold on anymore and that it was a desperate struggle. Dachira said with a smile. After this battle, I have won 10 consecutive battles. I think the people who bet will not be the same as before. They will slowly wake up. Knight Sorrow shook his head. Drinking tea, Knight Sorrow waited for Fu Wu to deliver the bonus. 1 million Saint Spirit Stones was not a small number. Even the top forces in the Chaos Realm probably had this amount of Saint Spirit Stones. However, Knight Sorrow was a little puzzled. In the past, Fu Wu would deliver the bonus quickly after each battle. But this time, it was a little slower. After waiting for 15 minutes, Fu Wu came and sat across from Knight Sorrow. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. First of all, the Blood Battle Arena congratulates Lord for becoming the 10th champion. Fu Wu cupped his hands at Knight Sorrow. Knowing that Fu Wu had more to say, Knight Sorrow only cupped his hands in return and did not say anything. Here is your bonus for this battle. Fu Wu pushed a storage ring in front of Knight Sorrow. Thank you. Knight Sorrow picked up the storage ring and checked it, then put it away. Actually, I should be the one thanking you. My performance this month is equivalent to the total of my performance for a long time. Fu Wu cupped his hands at Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow smiled. He preferred Fu Wu's straightforward way of communicating. Lord, since you have become the 10th champion, the Blood Battle Arena has some rewards for you. Your body is strong, so after some consideration, I feel that this golden body fruit is suitable for you. Fu Wu took out a jade box and pushed it in front of Knight Sorrow. Golden body fruit. The floating duckweed golden body fruit that can increase a cultivator's body strength and strength? Knight Sorrow opened the box in surprise. Yes, Lord, you are indeed knowledgeable. Fu Wu said with a smile, subtly flattering Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow was very happy. The golden body fruit was very hard to come by. It was even better than the colored glass fruit obtained by the Wu Ling Mountain Master. The floating duckweed golden body fruit was produced in water. It had no roots or flowers, only one fruit. Also, according to the instructions from above, we have to give you a generous reward. Therefore, this is also a gift for you. Fu Wu took out a brocade box. Inside the box was a title deed. Knight Sorrow took a look at the title deed and was shocked. It was a huge mansion. According to the size and location of the mansion was worth at least 3 million Saint Spirit Stones. Lord, the 10th champion shouldn't have such a reward, right? It's not right to accept a reward for nothing. Knight Sorrow put the title deed back into the box. Chapter 1574. Then I, Knight Sorrow, won't be polite. If you need any help, you can find me. I'm an alchemist and a blacksmith. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow decided to accept. Okay, I'll go find you if I need anything. You're a heavenly monarch and imperial tutor. You don't need to call me Lord. You can call me Old Brother Fu in private. Fu Wu appreciated Knight Sorrow's attitude. Most of the people who came to the Blood Battle Arena were evil people who were not easy to communicate with. Okay, then I'll call you Old Brother Fu when it's convenient. Does this Blood Battle Arena have a property? Knight Sorrow asked curiously. Apart from the combatants, there are also many people who watch and bet. Some have made a fortune, while others have lost everything. When they are in a hurry, the Blood Battle Arena will accept the bets. After a long time, the Blood Battle Arena has some property. Fu Wu said with a smile. That's true. After becoming the 10th champion, the bets won't be as popular as before. If there's any difference in income, you can arrange my share of the profits. Knight Sorrow said. He had his principles and would take what he deserved. If the number of people who bet on the next battle decreased, the Blood Battle Arena's profit would be small. It wouldn't be appropriate for him to continue to collect 1 million in profits. Lord Knight is very magnanimous. For the time being, we'll continue according to the previous agreement. If it's really not suitable, then we'll talk again. Fu Wu didn't change the treatment of Knight Sorrow just because of Knight Sorrow's suggestion. Okay, Old Brother Fu, since you're not busy, let's call Knight Sorrow for a drink. Knight Sorrow stood up. Then, Knight Sorrow left the Blood Battle Arena with Dachira and the others. Fu Wu didn't send them away because it wouldn't be appropriate for others to see. Seeing Night Sorrow leave, Fu Wu went to the top floor of the tallest pavilion to see Tsang Ning. Today's arrangement was good. Do it in the future. You have to know that some people can be schemed against, and some people must be treated with sincerity. You have to grasp the timing well. As long as you sincerely work for the blood battle platform, even if some decisions are wrong, I won't blame you. Just do it boldly. In addition, we need to increase the intensity of our spies' information gathering. Then, we need to set the odds based on the information we gather, which will benefit the blood battle arena the most, Tsang Ning said. I understand. I've disappointed you in the past. Fu Wu bowed. After today's battle, Night Sorrow will become the 10th champion. Some people's thoughts will change, but so what? Continue to lower the odds. If it doesn't work, it'll be 4-1. Later on, it'll be 5-1. Who wants to earn Saint Spirit Stones from our blood battle arena from Night Sorrow? That won't do. Tsang Ning reminded Fu Wu. I understand. If we lose, it will only be a small loss. However, if Night Sorrow continues to win, then our benefits will increase infinitely. Fu Wu nodded. He hadn't been in charge of the blood battle arena for a day or two. Even after Night Sorrow the dark horse had appeared, he had some shortcomings in handling the situation, but other than that, there were no problems. Lose? How could he lose so easily? Maybe he'll be the next champion. Tsang Ning muttered, then left with Starlet. Fu Wu was stunned. He knew that his estimation was still insufficient. Tsang Ning clearly thought highly of Night Sorrow, and Fu Wu was well aware of Tsang Ning's judgment. Sitting in the beast carriage, Night Sorrow and the others returned to the shop on Treasure-Seeking Street. Then, Lu Yun went to buy some food and wine. Haha, after eating and drinking, we'll go take a look at the new mansion. Lu Yun, the new mansion and the shop we're going to buy next. You'll be under a lot of pressure when you become the manager, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Thank you, young master. Lu Yun stood up and bowed. She felt very lucky that Night Sorrow and Datura didn't look down on her. Instead, they respected her because there was no precedent for a slave to become the manager of a mansion. Lu Yun knew that meeting Night Sorrow was the turning point in her life. Okay, after looking at the new mansion, bring a luo to the market and bring some people back. Just make sure they're honest and clean, Night Sorrow said. While they were drinking, the fat boss of the pawn shop wearing a red robe came over. Give me 1,000,000 Saint Spirit Stones and the pawn shop is yours. Give me the deed, Night Sorrow said after finishing the wine in his hand. The fat boss placed a brocade box in front of Night Sorrow, but his face was full of pain. After looking at the deed, Night Sorrow stood up. Ah Luo, let's go take a look. If there's no problem, we'll take it. When they reached the intersection of Treasure-Seeking Street and Tianhua Street, Night Sorrow glanced at the sign of the pawn shop and walked in. The fat boss's attitude was no longer arrogant. Instead, he brought Night Sorrow around the loft and courtyard and gave Night Sorrow a detailed introduction. When they returned to the main hall of the pawn shop, Night Sorrow took out a storage ring and handed it to the fat boss. Inside was his bonus for the day, 1,000,000 Saint Spirit Stones. Okay, this pawn shop is yours. I was blind to have lost a few million to you. However, it's not too late to know that you're a ruthless person, the fat boss said after taking the Saint Spirit Stones. Haha, you've come to your senses? Night Sorrow laughed. He naturally knew that the fat boss wasn't stupid. He had been blinded by his facade before. Don't tell me that you're not going to fight after becoming the 10th arena champion? The fat on the fat boss's face trembled. If Night Sorrow stopped fighting, his previous judgment would be useless. That won't happen. The matter between me and Sky Sun Prefecture and Moon Gazing Prefecture won't end so easily. Night Sorrow shook his head. Okay, if you dare to continue winning, I, Fatty Shin, will treat you to drinks every day, the red-robed Fatty Shin said to Night Sorrow. Okay, I care more about winning or losing than you do. Prepare a good bar in the future. Night Sorrow said with a smile. The restaurant next door is mine. Come and have a drink when you're free. Fatty Shin got up and left the pawn shop. That damn Fatty's family business is pretty big, Lu Yun muttered under his breath. I'll say it seriously. I'm Fatty Shin, the undying Fatty. Fatty Shin, who had already left the pawn shop, turned around and roared. Lu Yun's face was a little red. It was very awkward to be heard scolding someone. It's nothing. Luo, look after this place. Fatty Shin didn't take the staff here with him. You see if you can communicate with them. If they can do things according to our wishes, then they can stay. I'll go to Treasure-Seeking Street and find a few like-minded assistants, Night Sorrow said. When Night Sorrow returned to Treasure-Seeking Street, he saw Wu Fing drinking tea in the stall. He was obviously waiting for him. Big brother, I've already set up the shop. Let's go take a look in a while, Night Sorrow said with a smile. You're really fast, but I have something to discuss with you today. You're opening a shop, and a friend of mine wants to join. She won't interfere with your shop's matters. In fact, she just wants to form a good relationship with you. However, she'll be of great help to you. People who want to cause trouble will think twice. I won't be joining your shop, Wu Fing said. Since she's a friend introduced by Big Brother, then there's naturally no problem. It has nothing to do with Big Brother's partnership with me. However, there's one thing Big Brother wants to make clear to her. There's no problem with the dividends, but I want to buy materials, cultivation methods, alchemy, and blacksmithing inheritances. I won't change this. I also want priority, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 1575. Afterward, Night Sorrow and Wu Fing went to find Lin Mu. Taoist Lin Mu, it's like this. I want to open a shop, but I have a lot of things to do every day, so I want to ask Lin Mu to help me. As for the benefits, Lin Mu can just mention it. After seeing Lin Mu, Night Sorrow directly explained his intentions. Okay. Don't mention the treatment. Being able to follow Master Yi will greatly improve my alchemy skills. Tea and wine are enough. However, I would like to ask Master Yi to allow me to take these 2 disciples with me. Celestial Lord Lin Mu pointed to his 2 assistants and said, That's natural. Then we'll go once we're done here. The new shop is the pawn shop on Treasure-Seeking Street and Heavenly Flower Street. I've already bought it. Night Sorrow said. That's a good location and it's not far from Treasure-Seeking Street, so it doesn't go against your original intention. Lin Mu said with a smile. Afterward, Night Sorrow and Wu Fing brought Lin Mu to the shop. Datura passed down his request to the pawn shop's original servants and basically left them behind. Damn Fatty was a businessman and had strict requirements for his employees. Those who could work in the pawn shop were all of high quality and were almost chased away by Damn Fatty. After looking at the structure of the 2 lofts, Night Sorrow and Wu Fing went to the pavilion in the backyard to drink tea. Now you don't need to buy a mansion. This place can be used for business and living. Wu Fing said after taking a sip of tea. Big brother, I already have a mansion. It was given to me by the Blood Battle platform. I haven't seen it yet. Night Sorrow said with a smile. What's the situation? Wu Fing looked at Night Sorrow with a strange expression. Then Night Sorrow told Wu Fing about the Blood Battle platform giving him a mansion. He didn't even hide his benefits. Wu Fing was someone Night Sorrow could trust. If Wu Fing hadn't appeared, Yang Tianlai would have made a move on him and he wouldn't have been able to withstand it. That's good. You're earning money really fast. Big brother also bet on himself and accumulated some savings, but compared to you, it's too lacking. Wu Fing said with a smile. He knew that Song Ning's words weren't false. Night Sorrow had indeed earned a lot of resources from the Blood Battle arena. When he asked for the location of the mansion, Yi Shang took out the deed and showed it to Wu Fing. What's going on? Not only is this mansion on the same street as mine, but it's also very close. You can even say that if there's a battle there, I'll be there in an instant. That's too convenient. After looking at the deed, Edgeless smiled. Haha, that's great. It's more convenient to drink with Brother Wu Fing, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Next, Night Sorrow brought Datura and the others to their new residence. When they passed by Wu Fing's residence, Wu Fing introduced them. Soon after, the group arrived at Night Sorrow's mansion. There was no signboard, but there was someone cleaning it. That's a pretty big deal. It's enough to house the core members of an organization, Datura said. See, it's rare to see a mansion like this. My mansion was the reward for winning the Arena Champion 100. Furthermore, this area is under the control of the city magistrate's mansion. Ordinary people can't live here. Brother, you've earned the right to live here. Why don't other people come in and take a look? Even the 7 mansion lords can't come in. They have a lot of scruples, Wufing said. This mansion was a manor in the middle of a busy city. It occupied 300 to 400 square miles, which was rare even in the vast ethereal imperial city. After walking around the mansion for 2 hours, they finally finished looking around and arrived at the main hall. We're short on servants. If we can't do it, we can go to the market and buy some back. However, it's better to have trusted subordinates to manage the place, Wufing said. Luo, it's safer here. Go back and bring Hong Yi and Lan Ning here. Also, ask 6th senior sister about Brother Wufing's wine. Lu Yun will work in that shop from now on. Knight Sorrow made the arrangements. If it wasn't safe, Knight Sorrow wouldn't bring his people here. Wufing stayed in a daze for a while before leaving. Yi Shang's body flashed and landed on the tallest pavilion of the mansion. He observed the layout of the mansion. Arrays had to be set up. Yi Shang had the mentality of being vigilant in times of peace. Datura also left to make arrangements for Knight Sorrow. Here are 200,000 Saint Spirit stones. Ji Dao, accompany Lu Yun to buy some servants. I don't want any evil people. As for the rest, do as you see fit. This is my communication crystal. He handed Lu Yun a storage ring and Ji Dao a communication crystal. After making arrangements for Ji Dao and Lu Yun, Knight Sorrow began to set up the array. After buying servants, Lu Yun and Ji Dao tidied up the mansion step by step. In the past, there were servants from the blood battle arena, so the mansion wasn't deserted. It was easier to tidy it up. Lu Yun went to the shops on Treasure Seeking Street and posted a notice saying that they were closed. He also mentioned the location of the new shop. The new mansion and shop were things that Knight Sorrow had to deal with. The next evening, Knight Sorrow stopped setting up the array because he still had to go to the blood battle arena. Today, there was a heaven monarch from the Sky Sun Prefecture challenging him. Yang Tianlai was still angry. If he didn't deal with Knight Sorrow, he wouldn't be able to regain his face. His son's clone had been destroyed. As his father, how could he maintain his foothold in the ethereal imperial city if he couldn't get revenge? He was the prefecture lord of the Sky Sun Prefecture, and he was in charge of 1/7 of the ethereal imperial city. He couldn't afford to lose face. When introducing the two sides, Fu Wu talked about Knight Sorrow's situation. The 10 champions emphasized on Knight Sorrow's strength. In fact, everyone had seen Knight Sorrow's strength, but his weakness in speed and other aspects were still there. Fu Wu said this to cover up his weakness. Of course, different people had different opinions. You all said that Knight Sorrow is a roly-poly, but I don't think so. One person can defeat 10 people. There is nothing impossible. Besides, the 10 champions can prove this point. Therefore, the payout is 4-1. Fu Wu talked about the payout for Knight Sorrow. Under such circumstances, the payout for Knight Sorrow's opponent was 4-1. The blood battle arena didn't have any middle price difference. It was a game of judgment, scheming, and bonus. It was 1 out of 10, and no one cared about it. However, the contestants didn't take a cut if they won. When the contestants fought with their lives on the line, they would take as much as they won. However, this had nothing to do with Knight Sorrow. He only took 1 million per match. Everyone went crazy again. Everyone bet on Knight Sorrow's opponent. Knight Sorrow won 10 matches, but his performance wasn't outstanding. Otherwise, he wouldn't be called a roly-poly. In fact, roly-poly was a humiliating title. The payout was 4-1. One had to bet 1 million to win 250,000. Taking 25,000 was only a little more than 200,000. It wasn't worth it. Everyone was willing to gamble and find the feeling of winning 4 million by betting 1 million. Of course, there were very few people who could bet 1 million Saint Spirit Stones. After all, 1 million Saint Spirit Stones was a huge number. Not everyone could afford it. Those who could afford it might not be able to afford it. Everyone had to make a living. Fatty Shin didn't shout loudly. After finding a staff member, he secretly bet 1 million Knight Sorrow won. He was going all out. Chapter 1576. The result of a battle was inevitable. Actually, it didn't matter how strong the opponent was. Knight Sorrow would judge the situation according to the situation and plan a strategy, or increase his own strength appropriately. He would always be stronger than his opponent, and he would always be able to kill his opponent. You will definitely die in the next battle. Yang Tianlai scolded. You have said this several times, but it seems that the ones who died were the Heavenly Sun Prefecture's heavenly monarchs. Don't be flustered and exasperated. Why are you so agitated? Can't you afford to play? Knight Sorrow's face was full of smiles. He was in a good mood. If you dare to play, this lord will play with you until the end. Yang Tianlia's face was gloomy. He told Fu Wu that he would accept those who wanted to fight. However, he didn't have time within 10 days, so he would come to fight those who wanted to fight 10 days later. Fu Wu naturally didn't have a problem. He felt that it was better to be indifferent first. Recently, Knight Sorrow had been fighting too frequently. It wasn't very appropriate to continue like this. After leaving the blood battle platform, Knight Sorrow went to the shop. The shop was already listed. Although it was already at the level of an Imperial Preceptor, Knight Sorrow still put up the sign of Celestial Master Pavilion. Knight Sorrow had feelings for the word Celestial Master Pavilion. Back then, he opened a shop in Big Dipper City and North Star City. He didn't even know how the Celestial Master Pavilion in Big Dipper City was doing now. The signboard at the entrance of the Celestial Master Pavilion indicated the items and price standards. In addition, they purchased any 9th level materials, cultivation techniques, alchemy, and blacksmithing inheritances. Knight Sorrow also extended the time to submit the order. He had many things to do and couldn't refine on the spot. Therefore, he extended the time to submit the order to half a month. This was because he had to participate in the Blood Battle Platform's Blood Battle Platform and some other things. Knight Sorrow and Heavenly Monarch Lin Mu explained the matters of the shop. If he could confirm the refinement, he would accept it. If he couldn't confirm the refinement, he would let the customers wait. He would make the decision. As for Heavenly Monarch Lin Mu's treatment, Knight Sorrow said that he would receive 10% of the shop's income. However, Heavenly Monarch Lin Mu refused and only accepted 5%. Thus, Knight Sorrow didn't force him. Look at the 4 official U-version seal. Section B. After returning to the residence, Knight Sorrow started to set up the array. He wanted to set up the ceiling sky trap and kill array. This meant that as long as the Arch Realm cultivators didn't come, the Heaven Monarchs would die if they came. Knight Sorrow's array Dao cultivation was at the Heaven Monarch realm. Without the Arch-Grade Array diagram and without the Arch-Grade Array Dao cultivation, Knight Sorrow wouldn't be able to set up the Arch-Grade Array Dao. On the 3rd day after Knight Sorrow set up the array, Dachura came back with his wives. Nonsense, why are you all here? Knight Sorrow frowned. He was most concerned about his family's safety. A family member was different from a red specter. No one would target a red specter or Lan Ning, but once a family member was captured, it would be a big problem. Didn't we miss you? Yang Lei said with some hidden bitterness. I know, but where is this place? It's not safe here. Stay for a few days and go back. Don't meet anyone. I have too many enemies now, Knight Sorrow said. Yang Lei, Sikong Chuyu, Aoi, and Xueshi all nodded. They understood Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow loved them, loved his family, and was especially concerned about his family's safety. The wine is ready, but it can't be drunk now. The impulsive aura is too strong. It will take at least a few decades for it to settle. Aoi handed Knight Sorrow a storage ring. A brother I know asked for it. Thank you, 6th senior sister, Knight Sorrow said after keeping the storage ring. 13. Why are you being so polite with your 6th senior sister? The handbook that you brought back, although 6th senior sister can't understand it due to her high level of understanding, but it has given her a lot of inspiration regarding the medicinal properties and combinations of herbs. It has greatly improved 6th senior sister's alchemy skills. That wine is mine, this is for you. Qing Ji took out a storage ring. Thank you, 6th senior sister. Knight Sorrow hugged Aoi. In Knight Sorrow's heart, Aoi was like his wife and sister. He respected her very much. Okay, you go do your thing. I'll take the sisters for a walk around the mansion, Dachura said. It took Knight Sorrow 7 days to finish setting up the ceiling sky trap and kill formation. The most important places were the multiple formations. However, Aoi and the others also left. Knight Sorrow didn't stay. He felt that there were still hidden dangers. Although it was unlikely that anyone would dare to attack the mansion, it wasn't absolute. After sending off Aoi and the others, Dachura looked at Night Sorrow with some resentment. We all came to see you because we missed you. Look at you chasing us away. Aluo, it's not safe here. What if a crazy Emperor Realm cultivator comes? Who can I protect? Night Sorrow sighed. We can understand your decision. Oh right, you didn't know, right? Big Brother Wufeng gave us a beast carriage. It's a Saint King grade flying tiger. It's very domineering. It'll be more convenient for us to travel in the future. Dachura changed the topic with a smile. She didn't want Night Sorrow to feel pressured. Let's organize a family banquet and invite Big Brother Wufeng over for a drink, Night Sorrow said. Haha, let's just drink today. Wufeng arrived with Song Ning standing beside him. Others would have to report to Night Sorrow if they wanted to visit, but Night Sorrow had told the servants that Wufeng didn't need to. Big Brother Wufeng is here. Night Sorrow greets Sir. Night Sorrow greeted Wufeng before cupping his fists to Song Ning. You're too polite. It's a bit presumptuous of us to visit so suddenly. Song Ning greeted them as his eyes scanned Night Sorrow's mansion. Night Sorrow and Dachura then invited Wufeng and Song Ning to the pavilion next to the waterside pavilion in the mansion. They served them tea and had Lu Yun prepare a banquet. The first few times I passed by this mansion, I felt that it was very ordinary. However, it's different in Master Knight's hands. I can see that it's filled with killing intent. Not to mention the Emperor's, it'll be very difficult for anyone below that to leave alive, Song Ning said. Sir, you flatter me. Night Sorrow isn't talented, but I'm a little proficient in formations. The home is a place to relax and rest, so safety is the most important thing. That's why I set up some formations, Night Sorrow said with a smile. A little proficient in formations. That's too modest. The formations here are definitely at the peak of the 9th level. In other words, your formations are in sync with your cultivation level. Very impressive. The name, Tumbler, is very deceptive. Song Ning kept sizing up Night Sorrow. Some things are important in the process, while some things only require results. For me, winning in the blood battle arena is enough. Night Sorrow knew that the woman in front of him wasn't simple. Her aura was very sharp. Although she was deliberately controlling it, there was still the power of heaven and earth around her. Just by sitting there, one had to look up to her or at least pay attention to her. Your philosophy is very good. You want to open a shop, and I'm very interested. I want to buy a share. What do you think? Song Ning directly stated his intentions. Then I'll tell you what I think. I don't have a problem with buying a share, but Sir and Brother Wufeng can't have more than 45 shares. I'm opening a shop, so I naturally have to make the decision. Sir, just wait for the dividends. Besides, I'm not opening this shop for Saint Spirit Stones, but for the resources I need in the future. Therefore, I have priority when it comes to 9th level resources. Of course I'll pay the same price, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 1577. There must be a goal in life. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Very well, we'll do as you say. Song Ning nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow had his bottom line. She wasn't asking for much. She just wanted to form a good relationship with him. If she made Night Sorrow dislike her, she would lose more than she gained. Then my lord and Brother Wufeng will each take 20%. You don't have to take the sacred spirit stones. I'll take care of the early part. After all, if anything happens in the future, I'll need your help, Night Sorrow said. How straightforward. If anything happens, look for Wufeng. If he can't solve it, we'll solve it together. Since you're so straightforward, I'll give you a small gift. Song Ning waved her arm and a crystal ball flew into Night Sorrow's highest pavilion. What's that? Night Sorrow asked. A soul crystal ball. It will break when it meets an emperor-level aura with killing intent. Anyone who comes will have to retreat. Song Ning said. Then I, Yi Shang, thank you, Your Excellency. Yi Shang cupped his fists. Your wife's aura is very strong. She has the potential to enter the emperor level. It won't be long either. I have high hopes for the two of you. Have a chat. Wufeng, look for me if you need anything. Song Ning stood up and left. Wufeng didn't send him or Night Sorrow off.
brother, who is she?
Night Sorrow asked. How should I put it? She's very capable. Just treat her as if her business is very big. Just call her Old Song. Wufing thought for a moment and said with a smile. At the banquet, Wufing and Night Sorrow drank 2 cups. Night Sorrow gave the wine that Aoi had brewed to Wufing and told him that it needed to settle. Okay, throw it into a time acceleration treasure later. Help me thank my sister-in-law, Wufing said. After drinking 2 cups of wine, Wufing left. He had brought Song Ning to meet Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, I feel that woman isn't a simple character. She is an Empress Realm cultivator and is very domineering, Dachura said. It's nothing much. As long as we do our job well, you will also be a great Empress cultivator in the future. There's no need to be envious of others, Night Sorrow said. Following this, Night Sorrow and Dachura walked around the mansion to familiarize themselves with it. The mansion was simply too big, and ordinary people wouldn't be able to walk to the end even if they walked for a day. After returning to the main hall of the mansion, Night Sorrow informed Hong Yi and Lan Ning that Lan Ning would take care of the mansion. He also told them about the situation of the Celestial Master Pavilion. When they were free, they could go there more often, and Hong Yi would take a look. At this moment, in the main hall of the Guanyue Prefecture, Gong Yufan's face was ashen. Several heavenly monarchs of the Guanyue Prefecture had been killed by Night Sorrow, and this situation was still ongoing. This was a blow to the strength and morale of the Guanyue Prefecture, but Gong Yufan couldn't deal with it easily. Prefecture Lord, if we wait passively for him to challenge us, we will lose a lot of people. Why don't we take the initiative and choose experts to kill him like the Tianyang Prefecture? A heavenly monarch stood up and said. He was the commander of the Guanyue Prefecture's Bright Moon Legion, Chen Hu. The patrol team was from the Bright Moon Legion. That's right. Wait for him to challenge us. We will choose suitable people to target him. Men, get Ghost Marquis here, Gong Yufan shouted to the people beside him. So far, Night Sorrow had displayed great strength, but he wasn't good in other aspects. Ghost Marquis was very fast, and he was one of the top heavenly monarchs in the Guanyue Prefecture. He was very effective against Night Sorrow. Ghost Marquis had come with Gong Xian. After hearing Gong Yufan's order, Ghost Marquis hesitated for a moment before nodding. No one was willing to fight to the death unless it was absolutely necessary. Besides, Ghost Marquis knew how terrifying Night Sorrow was. He had seen Night Sorrow's lethality. As long as you can kill him, I will bestow you the Shadow Moon movement technique and 1,000,000 Saint Spirit stones. No matter who it is, as long as they can kill him, this reward will not change, Gong Yufan said coldly. He naturally knew that without a huge price, he wouldn't be able to attract enough people. In the Tianyang Prefecture, Yang Tianlai was also furious. He had sent 6 people to the blood battle arena, but all of them had been killed by Night Sorrow. This was a slap in his face, and a very heavy one at that. After thinking for a moment, Yang Tianlai felt that he should look for external help first. There were many heavenly monarchs in the Tianyang Prefecture, but not many of them were outstanding. 2 of them were his sons, and he naturally didn't want his sons to go to the blood battle arena. Not only would they suffer great losses, but they would also lose face. Men, bring me the name list of the 10 champions of the blood battle arena. I will find suitable people to fight, Yang Tianlai shouted to his bodyguard. Yang Tianlia's actions naturally couldn't be hidden from the blood battle arena. Fu Wu, who knew the situation, reported it to Song Ning. Don't worry about it. The 10 champions of the blood battle arena are all elites, and we value them. However, if they are blind, then there is nothing we can do. Let nature take its course, Song Ning said to Fu Wu. Fu Wu nodded. It wasn't a big secret who the 10 champions of the blood battle arena were. As long as someone was interested, they would be able to find out by following the records. As for the 10 champions, they weren't afraid of losing them. The 10 champions were created by the blood battle arena, and the blood battle arena would let nature take its course if they were suitable. If they weren't suitable, then the blood battle arena would send experts to interrupt the champion's winning streak. After 8 consecutive victories, experts from the blood battle arena would come out to challenge them. Not only would their winning streak be interrupted, but they would also be killed. After another victory, Night Sorrow received a notification from Fu Wu. The moon-gazing mansion's Ghost Marquis had challenged him to a battle and asked if he would accept. How could Night Sorrow not accept? The Ghost Marquis had followed him once and then killed his way to his mansion. If there was a chance to kill the Ghost Marquis, Night Sorrow naturally wouldn't let go of this opportunity. After getting the bonus, Night Sorrow and Datura went to the Celestial Master Pavilion. He wanted to see the operation of the Celestial Master Pavilion. Celestial Master Night is a golden signboard. There are many custom orders, and the original stall also has an announcement. Many people come here because of its reputation. Lin Mu said with a smile. That's good. I'll leave the matters here to Dao brother Lin Mu. This is my friend who will also be helping out here in the future. Everyone, please cooperate. Night Sorrow introduced Hong Yi to Lin Mu. Then Night Sorrow arranged for people to buy a counter. If they only took custom orders, then the business would be limited. With such a large Celestial Master Pavilion, they could definitely sell finished products. After buying the counter, Night Sorrow took out the elixirs in his hands and placed them on the counter. Apart from the Monarch Origin Pill, Monarch Glory Pill, Spirit Nurturing Pill, and Heaven Spirit Pill, the Rare Accumulation Spirit Pill, Supplement Spirit Pill, Lustrous Golden Pill, and Solid Source Pill were placed in the most conspicuous counter. Night Sorrow also placed the Longevity Limitless Pill. Of course, for those who needed it, its value was their life. For those who didn't need it, it was of little value. After placing the elixirs on the counter, Yi Shang placed the spoils of war that he had obtained from the blood battle stage. They were all top-notch weapons and defensive equipment. The weapons and defensive equipment used by Heaven Monarchs weren't just for show. Celestial Master Knight, if the existence of these rare elixirs were to spread out, our Celestial Master Pavilion's reputation will be very resounding. However, these weapons and defensive equipment will attract hatred. The original owner of these weapons and defensive equipment is still alive. Lin Mu said. Chapter 1578. Pull them or not, the aggro is there. If they have the ability, then let them do it. Don't worry about it. Isn't this the front of the two pavilions? Hong Yi, move the weapons and armor to the front later. Separate the alchemy and tool refining. You're mainly in charge of the tool refining side. Night Sorrow instructed Hong Yi. Hong Yi glanced at the other pavilion and began to plan how to place it properly. She would follow Night Sorrow's instructions. That's true. They won't dare to smash the store, so we have nothing to worry about. Lin Mu nodded after thinking about it. He felt that Night Sorrow's idea was correct. N equals forever. Exempt from IR fees. After walking around the store, Night Sorrow instructed Hong Yi to arrange the basic necessities for the staff. Since they were living under the same roof, they would take care of as much as they could. Young master, rest assured. Hong Yi nodded. She had known Night Sorrow for a long time and understood Night Sorrow's personality. After arranging the matters of the store, Night Sorrow returned to the mansion. The mansion was already listed. Night Mansion. After returning to the mansion, Night Sorrow went to the main hall. How do you feel? You have to get used to a new place. The security here is pretty good. Datura poured Night Sorrow a cup of water and said, Yes. If I knew the situation would be like this, I wouldn't have sent Chuyu and the others back. Big Brother Woofing is close to here and there's also Boss Tsong's hidden hand. There shouldn't be a problem here. Night Sorrow sighed. He felt guilty towards his wives. He hadn't been able to properly accompany Sikong Chuyu and the others these past few years. Don't think too much about it. The decision to send them back was right. The mansion is safe. Do you want them to stay in the mansion all day? Our city in the sky is much more comfortable. It's safe for them to walk around in the primal chaos realm. It's just like our backyard. Datura said with a smile. That's true. Night Sorrow nodded. Be careful of that ghost monkey's challenge. Last time we fought. His speed is indeed his forte. Datura said. She believed in Night Sorrow's strength, but she was also worried. It's fine. If you can't do it, just show a little more of your strength. It's best if you can hide your strength, but if you can't, then go on a killing spree. There's nothing to worry about now. This is enough pressure, Night Sorrow said. Datura laughed. I thought you were having a lot of fun. It turns out that you're feeling depressed too? How could I not? For the sake of the 1 million each round, I've been holding it in. I'll hide as many rounds as I can. If I can't hide, then I'll start killing, Night Sorrow said. It's been hard on you, but you've fought more than 10 battles, and we've earned a lot. We earned close to 6 million in the first battle, and you'll earn 1 million in each subsequent battle. I'll also earn 70,000. This is actually robbery. Dachura's eyes were full of smiles. Even when she was in charge of the Dark Abyss, she had never seen so many Holy Spirit stones. This was the difference between the Celestial Realm and the Bounded Realms. There weren't many sources of Holy Spirit stones in the Bounded Realms. Other than the ore veins in the Bounded Realms, they could only find them in the higher realms. However, the Celestial Realm was different. Many forces, or even rogue cultivators, would look for the Bounded Realms to enter. They would either arrange for people to look for money and resources, or they would cultivate their forces or even rule over them. Naturally, they would be able to earn Holy Spirit stones. You can never have too many Holy Spirit stones. Our Starry Crescent Island needs to be built, and we also need to develop. Therefore, the more Holy Spirit stones we have, the better. We can exchange them for other resources. 9th level items, any one of them is expensive, Night Sorrow said. Dachura understood that no one would ever complain about having too many resources. For cultivators who didn't have top-grade pills, Holy Spirit stones were resources to assist in cultivation. It was a currency for exchange. In other words, Emperor Realm cultivators didn't need Holy Spirit stones. However, they still needed Holy Spirit stones to exchange for things they needed, their juniors needed them, and their forces needed them. Therefore, accumulating Holy Spirit stones was a form of accumulation. Because of Night Sorrow's decision to postpone the battles on the Blood Battle platform for 10 days, he had more free time. This gave him time to deal with the matters of the new mansion and shop. With Dachura's help and trustworthy people, everything was on the right track. On Night Sorrow's day, when he was cultivating the Dragon's Destruction Spear, or the True Dragon Kill, Hong Yi returned from the shop. She said that someone wanted to buy a weapon. Night Sorrow went to the shop and found that it was Lang Yi, the Celestial Master of Guanyue Mansion whose clone he had killed. His weapon, the trident, was displayed in the Celestial Master Pavilion. Lang Ye's eyes lit up when he saw Night Sorrow, but he quickly restrained himself. Celestial Master Lang Yi, you know that this business is not easy to discuss. Night Sorrow gestured for Lang Yi to sit down and sat down first. Lang Yi glanced at Night Sorrow and sat down across from him. He naturally knew that this business was not easy to discuss, but he had to try. The trident was his weapon. His main body's weapon was far inferior to the trident he had lost in the Blood Battle platform. It is not easy to discuss, I know. However, we can discuss it. You don't have to see me as an enemy. In fact, after leaving the Blood Battle platform, we have no enmity, Lang Yi said. Then can Heavenly Lord Lang Tianjun say that you don't care that I killed your clone? Night Sorrow asked with a smile. I can't, but I can promise that I won't go against you or cause you any trouble. Lang Yi hesitated for a moment before speaking. There was no point in lying, and he disdained to do so. Since Celestial Master Lang Yi is here, you must be sincere. Then, I will tell you my opinion. I hope Celestial Master Lang Yi will listen, Night Sorrow said after pouring a cup of tea for Lang Yi. Please speak, Celestial Master Lang Yi. Lang Yi is listening. Lang Yi cupped his hands towards Night Sorrow. The enmity between me and Sky Sun Prefecture and Moon Prefecture is too great. These weapons are not for sale. If I ask for 10 times the price, who would buy them? They are here to humiliate people. Of course, the main purpose is to humiliate Sky Sun Prefecture and Moon Prefecture. I have no enmity with you, Night Sorrow said. There is nothing wrong with what you are doing. I came here today to humiliate myself. There is no other way. Who wouldn't care about a good weapon? Lang Yi sighed and stood up. It's not like you don't have a chance. You are the first to come, so I will give you 2 choices. One is to withdraw from Moon Prefecture and take the weapon at the normal price. The other is to provide the materials. I can still help you refine it, Night Sorrow said. Lang Yi, who was about to leave, stopped because Night Sorrow's words meant that there was a chance. Lang Yi turned around and looked at Night Sorrow. However, I suggest that you withdraw. Sit down and talk. Night Sorrow invited Lang Yi to sit down again. Lang Yi hesitated for a moment and sat down again. No matter what the result was, he wanted to hear Night Sorrow finish. The enmity between me and Moon Prefecture is very difficult to resolve. Everyone knows that. Those who have challenged me are not allowed to challenge me again within 30 years. This is the rule. However, you have to know that after the first wave of attacks on Moon Prefecture, will you still have a doppelganger to fight in the second wave of challenges after 30 years? If you don't dare to fight in person, you will be expelled from Ethereal Imperial City. Of course, you can think that I will fail and be killed. You have your own judgment, Night Sorrow said. The rule that Night Sorrow mentioned was the rule of Ethereal Imperial City. The Blood Battle Arena challenge killed the opponent's doppelganger, and no one could challenge again within 30 years. What about after 30 years? This was the cruelty of the world. Ethereal Imperial City did not take in the week. Chapter 1579. Cultivators can't entrust their fate to others. I can't live by praying for your failure. Also, as a subordinate of Guanyue Mansion, I've done what I should. How many Saint Spirit Stones are you selling that weapon for? I'll buy it. After hesitating for a while, Lang Yi made his decision. At the same time, he gave up his previous title. He was the commander of Guanyue Mansion's law enforcement team. Take the 50,000 Saint Spirit Stones. But there's a condition. I want to make it clear on the counter that you're leaving Guanyue Mansion. I'll spread the news 3 days later. Don't think that I'm a petty person. I won't let go of any chance to attack Guanyue Mansion. Do you think you can accept it? Night Sorrow said. Okay. Give me 3 days. You're not a petty person. Lang Yi shook his head and took out 50,000 Saint Spirit Stones. He was a heavenly monarch. 50,000 Saint Spirit Stones was nothing to him. Besides, he knew that the trident cost at least 200,000 Saint Spirit Stones. Night Sorrow was already taking care of him. Besides, if he decided to leave Guanyue Mansion, he would have to leave Ethereal Imperial City even if Night Sorrow didn't spread the news. I'm sorry. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Lang Yi. Night Sorrow knew that Lang Yi was also a sacrifice. This is the way of the world. It's rare to receive your apology. Lang Yi was surprised to hear Night Sorrow's apology. Then, Night Sorrow took out the trident and gave it to Lang Yi. With it, Lang Yi left Celestial Master Pavilion. Well done. You've slapped Guanyue Mansion in the face again, Wufeng said with a smile after he appeared. I didn't use that weapon. Its only use was to humiliate and attack the opponent. Now, I've achieved my goal. Night Sorrow invited Wufeng to sit down and said, Gong Yufan hasn't been bullied for many years. He thought it was okay to bully you. But now, he's lost all his face. A heavenly monarch is nothing to Guanyue Mansion. But now that you've made one of them run away, they won't be able to stop it. Wufeng shook his head. He felt sorry for Gong Yufan. So what if he was an Imperial Realm cultivator? Could he do whatever he wanted? That was because he hadn't met anyone powerful yet. Big brother, I've slapped the Misty Dynasty's face. Isn't that a little inappropriate? Night Sorrow asked. Are you worried that the City Lord's mansion will step in and attack you? You're thinking too much. The City Lord residents wouldn't be so immoral. Lord Battle Emperor wouldn't care about these things at all. It's true that they're his subordinates, but the rules are set by Lord Battle Emperor. This is the Ethereal Imperial City, not the Guanyue Prefecture or the Tianyang Prefecture, Wufeng said with a smile, dispelling Night Sorrow's worries. That would be for the best. I don't want to be forced to move just because I've just built up a bit of foundation, Night Sorrow said with a smile. No. Edgeless gave Night Sorrow a firm answer. After staying in Night Sorrow's shop for a while, Wufeng looked at the spoils of war displayed in Night Sorrow's weapon pavilion. Then, he left with a smile. He felt that things were getting more and more interesting. Night Sorrow and the Guanyue Prefecture had a conflict with the Tianyang Prefecture, but Songning was on Night Sorrow's side. With Songning around, Yang Tianlai and Gong Yufan couldn't use underhanded means. Under the rules set by the Battle Emperor, Yang Tianlai and Gong Yufan couldn't do anything to Night Sorrow unless a powerful heavenly monarch could eliminate Night Sorrow. However, this was very difficult. Next, Night Sorrow had to fight the Ghost Monkey. Night Sorrow didn't feel any pressure. Killing the Ghost Monkey wasn't difficult. It was just a matter of how much strength he had to reveal. It was best if he could keep a low profile and trick people. If he couldn't, it didn't matter. Lu Yun was a small housekeeper in the Guanyue prefecture. The head housekeeper was a redcoat, so Lu Yun didn't follow Night Sorrow to the blood battle arena to watch. Night Sorrow and Datura brought Ji Dao along. Ji Dao was very talented in combat, so Night Sorrow brought him along to broaden his horizons. When they arrived at the blood battle arena, Night Sorrow told Fu Wu that he wanted to challenge Lang San, a heavenly monarch from the Guanyue prefecture. If Lang San agreed, then Night Sorrow's battle with the ghost monkey would end. The next battle would be with Lang San. Night Sorrow knew that the ghost monkey was very strong. After all, he had met him twice. If he wasn't strong enough, Gong Yufan wouldn't have sent him to protect the troublemaker Gong Xianyu. Fu Wu then introduced the two sides of the battle. The ghost monkey had won 3 battles in the blood battle arena. In fact, many powerful cultivators had won in the blood battle arena. Why? Everyone was short of money at times. What could they do? In the blood battle arena, if they won, they would get Saint Spirit Stones. Such people usually had higher odds. After Fu Wu's introduction, it was time to place bets. Night Sorrow's odds were very low. It was 4-1, so no one was willing to bet. Besides Wu Fing and Jiang Yu, who were fixed supporters of Night Sorrow, there was one more person who placed a huge bet. It was none other than the fatty with the jiggling face. As long as Night Sorrow fought, he would bet 1 million. He was now counting on Night Sorrow to break even. The cage opened, and the ghost monkey's body flashed. Like a wisp of black smoke, he landed inside the cage. Night Sorrow also walked in. The ghost monkey stretched out his right hand, and a black long sword appeared in his hand. You don't have to pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger. Today let me see how strong you are. If you can't do it, I will cut your body into pieces and feed them to the dogs. I hate people with cheap mouths. Today is the first time I challenge you. I will definitely destroy your doppelganger. 30 years later, if you are still alive, I will continue to challenge you until I destroy your original body, Night Sorrow said coldly. As soon as Night Sorrow's voice fell, the spirit-seeking gong sounded. The battle of words instantly turned into a battle of life and death. The ghost monkey's speed was extremely fast, and he was like a ghost. His body flickered quickly, and that was the origin of his nickname. Night Sorrow swung the space splitter spear in his hand. His body drew an arc as he retreated. At the same time, he was looking for an opportunity. The ghost monkey's speed became faster and faster. His long sword didn't even come into contact with Night Sorrow's weapon. As long as he discovered that his attack was blocked, he would change his attack and attack from another direction. However, when Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear, the area around him was slowed down. When the ghost monkey's long sword reached this area, its speed would be reduced. It couldn't truly harm Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow felt somewhat helpless. The ghost monkey was too fast. If he didn't use his absolute skill, then so be it. If he exposed himself, then so be it. It wouldn't affect him much. Having made his decision, Night Sorrow used the Great Death Annihilation Slash. Following Night Sorrow's thrust, a black halo appeared and enveloped the ghost monkey without any warning. The ghost monkey's rapidly moving body stopped. In a battle between experts, a pause was the end. Night Sorrow's space splitter spear pierced through the ghost monkey's forehead and broke his spirit C. Dual attribute. In this place, it was impossible to hide one's strength. Night Sorrow's dual attribute had been discovered. Night Sorrow waved his arm and stored the ghost monkey's body. When Night Sorrow fought with other practitioners, it was a bloody battle. There were no personal grudges. However, the ghost monkey was different. If there was a chance to deal with the ghost monkey, Night Sorrow wouldn't let it go. He planned to let Datura throw the ghost monkey's corpse into the dark abyss. He didn't believe that the ghost monkey wouldn't submit. The door of the cage opened and Night Sorrow walked out. Once again, there was a wave of angry curses. However, this time, Night Sorrow had supporters. Fatty Shin didn't hold back and scolded back viciously. His mouth was unforgiving. Chapter 1580. In Guanyue Prefecture, the #1 Heaven Monarch wasn't Gong Xianfan's subordinate. It was his eldest daughter, Mystic Shadow Sword Monarch Gong Xianing. Gong Xianing wasn't an Emperor Realm cultivator, but she had already integrated the momentum of heaven and earth into her movement technique. She was extremely fast. In terms of speed and strength, no heaven monarch could compare with her in Guanyue Prefecture. Without paying attention to anyone, Knight Sorrow went to Datura and Ji Dao's private room. Then, he threw the storage ring that contained Ghost Monkey's corpse to Datura. Take his storage ring and throw his corpse into the dark abyss. Okay. Are you trying to kill him? Datura asked. Apart from his personal grudge with us, this guy has a strong evil aura. He will definitely hold a grudge after his clone was killed. We don't know when he will try to kill us. So, we have to kill him once and for all. Knight Sorrow nodded. Your deduction shouldn't be wrong. This guy has a sinister aura and isn't a good person. Datura supported Knight Sorrow's decision. This isn't my deduction. It's the truth. I have a body of merit. If I encounter someone with bad morals and bad character, I will have a strong resistance. When I fought with him, the light of merit in my body surged and reacted strongly. Knight Sorrow said. He wouldn't use his deduction to decide a person's fate, but he could prove that Ghost Monkey wasn't a good person. Soon, after arranging everything, Fu Wu went to Knight Sorrow's private room. Lord Knight, you did well. Brother Fu, you flatter me. If we used the previous method, we wouldn't be able to take him down, so we had to make some changes. If it affects the odds, I'm sorry, Knight Sorrow said. Haha, you're thinking too much. Which cultivator doesn't have a trump card? If you show them your strength, they might think that it's your trump card. If they fight you again, they'll have a better chance of winning. They might even bet like crazy, Fu Wu said with a smile. All right then. You know where my new residence and shop are, Brother Fu. Let me know if you accept my next battle. Knight Sorrow took out a packet of heart-cleansing tea and pushed it in front of Fu Wu. I was just about to tell you that after you challenged Lang San, the Blood Battle platform sent someone to contact you. The news has already been sent back. Lang San rejected your challenge, so you should find someone else, said Fu Wu. Knight Sorrow took out the name list of the Heaven Monarchs of the Guanyue Prefecture and randomly found one. He told Fu Wu and then took the bonus and left the Blood Battle platform in the beast carriage. After Knight Sorrow left, Fu Wu went to the top floor of the Blood Battle Arena's tallest building. Song Ning's doppelganger had been guarding this place. My lord, everything has been arranged. Today's harvest is huge, said Fu Wu as he bowed. Just do as you see fit. Also, didn't the Heavenly Sun Prefecture find someone from the Blood Battle platform to fight? Just treat it as a way to curry favor with Knight Sorrow, and give him the information of the person who will fight. Very interesting. I originally thought that he would use some other attribute, but he actually used the death attribute. The Underworld Stone is very powerful. After instructing Fu Wu, Song Ning muttered to herself. Who was Song Ning? Knight Sorrow's void attribute naturally couldn't be hidden from her. This was also one of the reasons why she supported Knight Sorrow. Song Ning was very surprised that Knight Sorrow had used the Death Energy's ultimate technique today. She didn't know about this before. It was only when Knight Sorrow used the Death Destruction Slash that she discovered the existence of the Underworld Stone in Knight Sorrow's body. Knight Sorrow and Datura returned to the mansion in the beast carriage driven by Ji Dao. Datura then left. She wanted to return to the Chaos Realm and the Dark Abyss to deal with the Ghost Monkey's corpse. Someone was following them, but could this hide from Datura? She was no longer afraid of anyone below the Emperor Realm. She was currently improving faster than Knight Sorrow. She felt that she would be able to reach the half-step Emperor Realm in a little more time. Datura turned around and shook off the people following them. Only then did she leave on the teleportation formation. After 3 days of peace, Knight Sorrow spread the news that Lang Yi had left the Guanyue Prefecture. After 3 days, Lang Yi had enough time. If he still stayed in the ethereal Imperial City and waited for the Guanyue Prefecture to deal with him, he would be an idiot. It had nothing to do with Knight Sorrow. After receiving the news, Gong Yufan sent people to find Lang Yi. However, the people he sent found that Lang Ye's residence had been hollowed out and the courtyard had been pawned. The truth was that Lang Yi had really left the Guanyue Prefecture. Gong Yufan was furious. He thought that Lang Yi had betrayed the Guanyue Prefecture. While he sent people to capture Lang Yi, Gong Yufan left the Guanyue Prefecture's main hall. He walked for a while and entered a rather elegant mansion. Prefecture Lord. Seeing Gong Yufan, the guards at the entrance of the mansion bowed. Is young mistress here? Gong Yufan asked. After receiving an affirmative answer from the guards, Gong Yufan entered the mansion. Gong Xianing, who was meditating in a small pavilion, stood up. She naturally sensed Gong Yufan's arrival. At this moment, Gong Yufan also entered the pavilion. After chatting for a while, Gong Yufan told him why he had come. Kill. Lord Father, you know that I cultivate to increase my limits. I don't like killing people, Gong Xianing said. If you go and challenge him, victory will be as easy as flipping your hand. Are you going to watch him constantly kill the heaven monarchs of our observant moon prefecture? This time, he even forced Lang Yi to leave, which is a slap to my face, Gong Yufan said. Okay, I'll think about it and give you an answer, Gong Xianing said after a moment of silence. Gong Xianfan nodded and left. He couldn't force his daughter to do anything. Gong Xianying's mother had died to protect him. That was many years ago when he led people to fight against other factions. Therefore, he felt that he owed his daughter. Gong Yufan also knew that as long as Gong Xianing fought, there wouldn't be any problems. After all, Gong Xianing was the champion of the blood battle arena. Blood battles were used to temper one's strength. Unlike grudges battles, one side could surrender and didn't have to be killed. After thinking about it for a while, Gong Xianing left the mansion and went to Treasure-Seeking Street with her servant girl. After asking around, she found out where Night Sorrow's mansion was. After arriving at Night Sorrow's mansion, Gong Xianing asked a servant to report her name. She didn't hide it and directly told him her name. After hearing the servant's report, Night Sorrow decided to meet her. Since she was visiting according to etiquette, there was no reason for him to refuse. Seeing Night Sorrow, Gong Xianing held her sword in front of her chest. I don't want to kill anyone. Today you and I will fight. If you lose, don't cause trouble for Guanyue Mansion in the future. You don't want to kill anyone. Are you sure you're from Guanyue Mansion? Night Sorrow asked, puzzled. Yes, I didn't fight in the blood battle arena because I wanted to give you a chance to surrender, Gong Xianing said. What if you lose? Night Sorrow narrowed his eyes and sized up Gong Xianing, who was wearing a veil. I won't lose. If I can't defeat you, I won't care about these things anymore, Gong Xianing said. Chapter 1581. Night Sorrow, Mystic Shadow Sword Monarch is the arena champion of the blood battle arena, but she has never killed anyone. She wouldn't do something as insignificant as testing your strength. Edgeless appeared. He had come to have tea with Night Sorrow and ask about the store. He happened to see this scene. Greetings, Emperor Edgeless. Gong Xian Shadow held his sword and saluted Edgeless. You have your own principles. Why do you want to get involved in this mess? Edgeless asked Gong Xian Shadow. It's my father's request. I just want to tell him to stop when it's time to stop. Gong Xian Shadow pointed his sword at Night Sorrow. Since the arena champion of the blood battle arena is here, I'll fight. Night Sorrow stretched out his arm and the space splitter spear flew into his hand. 0-inch. Remember what you just said. If you lose, don't provoke Guanyue Mansion. Gong Xian Shadow waved his right hand and stuck the scabbard of his sword into the ground. The green sword was filled with sword energy. If I lose, we'll do as you say. If you lose, we'll do as I say. Night Sorrow said. It's a deal. Gong Xian Shadow spat out 4 words. Then his body flickered and he charged at Night Sorrow. Gong Xianying's speed was unparalleled. If he didn't use his speed, he wouldn't be able to fight. Night Sorrow's spatial energy shield was activated, and the will of space-time burst forth to increase his speed. He dodged Gong Xianying's extremely fast sword and then attacked with his spear. Night Sorrow changed his style. He focused on speed and strength. Then the 2 weapons clashed. However, the result was different from Night Sorrow's expectations. Gong Xian Shadow's sword was not affected. All the energy that came into contact with Gong Xian Shadow's sword was deflected. Slippery. The energy on Gong Xian's shadow sword was very slippery. Night Sorrow's attack was completely deflected. After causing Night Sorrow's space-splitting spear to lose its power, Gong Xian's long sword stabbed towards Night Sorrow's chest. Night Sorrow's right hand shook the air-splitter spear, and the end of the spear blocked Gong Xian's long sword. Along with the vibration of the essence of time shock wave, Gong Xian's shadow was forced back. After the first exchange, the two separated. Knight Sorrow discovered that the Gong Xian's shadow was very strong. His long sword could not defend against it. This move was very difficult to defend against. Fortunately, Knight Sorrow could shake it off when it was used to attack. Then the two clashed again. The energy of Knight Sorrow's attack was deflected, so the attack had no effect. Similarly, Gong Xian's longsword attack was also deflected by Knight Sorrow's space-splitting spear's shockwave or wave force. After a few rounds of battle, Knight Sorrow's space-splitting spear's style changed. Every spear was a battle technique, alternating between Void Extreme Point Kill and Void Return to Origin Kill. Gong Xian's deflection ability was very strong, but at this time, it could only deflect half of Knight Sorrow's attack energy. The remaining half of the energy still blasted into her defensive longsword, which was why she was suppressed. However, Knight Sorrow could only suppress Gong Xian's attack. He could not defeat Gong Xian's shadow. After defending against Knight Sorrow's dozens of attacks, Gong Xian's swordsmanship also changed. The speed of his sword attacks doubled. This way he could attack while defending. After blocking Gong Xian's longsword with his spear once again, Knight Sorrow's arm went numb. Gong Xian's sword chi concept changed. It became extremely condensed and turned into a steel needle that pierced Knight Sorrow's body. This caused Knight Sorrow's right arm to go numb. Sensing the power of Gong Xian's sword chi, Knight Sorrow immediately used the virtuous immortal gilded body to block Gong Xian's sword chi from invading his arms. As the virtuous immortal gilded body's energy circulated, Knight Sorrow's body emitted an intense, but not dazzling and ostentatious light. Gong Xian's shadow knew why the Heavenly Sun Prefecture and Guanyue Prefecture's heavenly monarchs lost. It was because Knight Sorrow had not used his full strength in the blood battle arena. After blocking Gong Xian's attack, Knight Sorrow's spear technique changed again. He now focused on thrusting, which made it much harder for Gong Xian's shadow to block. Gong Xian's shadow's longsword was used to attack, but she also had to defend. She was a bit stretched. However, she also used her ultimate skill and attacked with her left hand. Every time Knight Sorrow's space splitter spear was about to succeed, her left index finger would point at Knight Sorrow's space splitter spear. It was a jade-colored finger that blocked Knight Sorrow's attack every time. Knight Sorrow did not understand what Gong Xian's shadow cultivated. However, he continued to attack. With her left hand's finger technique to defend, Gong Xian's shadow began to attack. Both of them fought with speed, and the air was filled with afterimages. However, Knight Sorrow suppressed Gong Xian's shadow and forced her to retreat. In terms of basic attacks, she was not as tyrannical as Knight Sorrow's. It's about time. There's no need to use a killer move. Just treat this as a friendly exchange of pointers, Wufeng shouted. As an Imperial Emperor, he could naturally tell that the two of them were about the same in terms of basic skills. Knight Sorrow had the advantage, but he could not sustain it and win. If the battle continued, both of them would use killer moves, and someone would die. He did not want to see anything happen to Knight Sorrow. In addition, he did not want to see Gong Xian's shadow, who had achieved 100 consecutive victories in the blood battle arena without losing a single life, fall. Hearing Wufeng's shout, Gong Xian's shadow retreated. Knight Sorrow did not pursue. Miss Gong is indeed valiant. Knight Sorrow admires you. Although he did not use a true ultimate skill, Knight Sorrow had tested out Gong Xian's strength. Master Knight's strength is also unexpected. Gong Xian's shadow waved her left hand, and her long sword flew back to her scabbard. Then with a wave of her right hand, she sheathed her long sword. Knight Sorrow swung his right hand, and the space splitter spear returned to the holster on his back. Roly-poly, what a joke. Thank you for teaching me, Master Knight. I will no longer care about Guanyue Mansion's matters, and I will not tell anyone what happened today. Thank you, Imperial Emperor Wufeng, for your mediation. Gong Xian's shadow cupped her hands at Wufeng, and then left. She did not admit defeat. She only thanked Wufeng for teaching her. In other words, she did not admit that she was inferior to Knight Sorrow. Big brother, are you sure this woman is Gong Yufan's daughter? Knight Sorrow looked at Wufeng in surprise. How can it be fake? Mystic Shadow Sword Monarch is very famous and has a good reputation. Every time, she only defeats her opponent and does not use a killer move, Wufeng said. Her defense and attack are both very strong. It is very difficult to defeat her without using a killer move. If she uses a killer move, she will die. It is indeed inappropriate to kill a good person, Night Sorrow said. If she says she will not care about Guanyue Mansion's matters, then she will not care. If she does not want to do something, Gong Yufan cannot force her because she has another identity. She is the disciple of Ethereal Imperial City's great elder, Wufeng Monarch said. As long as she doesn't tell anyone about me, then it's fine. I plan to win a few more matches in the blood battle arena, Night Sorrow said with a smile. That won't happen. To be liked and admired by those old men in the City Lord Mansion, besides being sensible, character is also an important factor, Wufeng Monarch said. The nature of her true chi is very strange. I need to study it, Night Sorrow said. After leaving Night Sorrow's mansion, Gong Xian's shadow looked at the servant girl. Go back and tell the mansion lord that there is nothing I can do. Don't say anything else. Chapter 1582. The City Lord Mansion of the Ethereal Imperial City was the core of the city that occupied millions of miles. For countless years, the development of the Ethereal Imperial City was centered around this place. The main pavilion of the City Lord Mansion was also towering into the clouds. The City Lord Manor's Imperial Guards and the First Legion, the Zongning Army, were all stationed here. Usually, the War Emperor didn't show his face. The City Lord Manor's elders were in charge of running the city. The Great Elder, Yuan Ji, was the key figure. He was Gong Xianying's master. Gong Xianying entered the City Lord Manor. No one stopped her as the guards on duty recognized her. Gong Xianying bowed slightly when they arrived at a quaint pavilion in the City Lord's mansion. Xianying, you're here. Why do you look so down? An old man wearing a white robe and holding a walking stick walked out of the building. The old man in the white robe was very kind. He had a pair of smiling eyes. Even if Gong Xianfan was here, he would have to report and wait. Only Gong Xianying could enter and leave freely. Master, Xianying has some questions. Gong Xianying took off her veil and helped the old man to sit down. If you don't have any questions, why didn't you come here to drink tea with me? The old man, Yuan Ji, sat down and knocked the ground with his walking stick. Master, didn't Xianying go into seclusion to find an opportunity to break through? Please don't blame me. Gong Xianying took out a tea set and started to make tea. All right. I won't argue with you. If you have any questions, ask me. Yuan Ji nodded at Gong Xianying. I fought with someone today and was suppressed. I didn't have the upper hand at all. Although neither side used their ultimate moves, I felt that it would be useless even if they did. Not only was the energy in my body suppressed, I also felt a strong sense of danger. After brewing the tea, Gong Xianying sat opposite the old man. He's also a heavenly monarch? Yuan Ji's calm eyes lit up. Yes, your disciple used the dual polarity sword Dao, but I was unable to deflect all of his power. Even when I used the mysterious jade finger, I could only barely block his attack. Furthermore, your disciple is very clear that he only used a portion of his power. The aura of his energy is very strange. Gong Xian explained the situation of the battle. There are only two possibilities for the aura to be suppressed. One is the cultivation level, and the other is the attribute. If he is a heaven monarch in terms of cultivation level, then there is no such thing. It should be the attribute. You have the life attribute and the space attribute. Only the supremacy attribute can suppress you. Since when did the Ethereal Imperial City have such a person? He is a newly emerged cultivator and has a conflict with the Discerning Moon Prefecture and the Heavenly Sun Prefecture. He is currently challenging the Heaven Monarchs of the two prefectures on the blood battle stage. He is rather cunning. Currently, he is only using his strength to fight, but he has already won 10 consecutive battles and become the 10th champion. The two prefectures can't suppress the situation, so your disciple's father asked me to help. I didn't want to take someone's life for no reason, so I didn't go to the blood battle stage. Instead, I went to his mansion to find him and force him to retreat. Master, you know the situation of the battle, Gong Xianying said. It's not that I am biased against your father, but I rarely interact with him. He is blinded by power and desire and can't make any good decisions. Instead, it is easy for him to get you involved and ruin your state of mind. No. You said that he is a newcomer. Why does he have a mansion? Yuan Ji said a few words and found a problem. When your disciple wanted to find him, I asked some people. The mansion was given to him by the blood battle stage, and it is the most luxurious mansion in the Azure Dragon district, Gong Xianing said. Interesting. If there were no instructions from the higher-ups, the blood battle stage wouldn't have made such a decision. As for your question, I haven't seen him, so I can't make an accurate judgment. However, you have to know that you are the strongest among the Heaven Monarchs. The dual polarity sword Dao is top-notch in both offense and defense. It was born out of Lord Battle Emperor's sky-raising sword Dao. In addition, in terms of combat strength, your direction of improvement should be strength. Increasing strength at a high speed should be the direction you are working towards now, Yuan Ji said. Then your disciple will be cultivating at Master's place for the next few days. Out of sight, out of mind, Gong Xianing said. Seeing Gong Xianing walk to the attic next door, Yuan Ji thought for a moment and smiled. He stood up, tapped the ground with his walking stick, and walked forward. It looked like a simple walk, but with one step, Yuan Ji's body was already in another place. Yuan Ji came to a courtyard behind the city lord's palace. Song Ning, who was wearing a simple green robe, was standing there with his hands behind his back, lost in thought as he looked at a flower. Sensing Yuan Ji's arrival, Song Ning turned around and said, "Elder Yuan, what brings you here?" "It's just that I wanted to come and take a walk. I also wanted to ask you something." Song Ning. Yuan Ji walked over to a wooden chair and sat down. Haha. Elder Yuan wants to ask Song Ning something? Song Ning smiled and sat down next to Yuan Ji by a tea table. My precious disciple was sparring with someone and was suppressed. Therefore, I am a little interested in that person, Elder Yuan Ji said. Gong Xianing was suppressed. Song Ning knows who it is. Song Ning took a sip of tea and said. Yuan Ji was the representative of the older generation of the ethereal dynasty, while Song Ning was the leader of the younger generation. Song Ning was in charge of the blood battle arena. Haha. Song Ning, it seems like you have high hopes for that person. Otherwise, you wouldn't have sent him to the mansion in the Azure Dragon district, Yuan Ji said with a smile. Yes, I have high hopes for him. I even had to coax him to come here. He wants to open a store, and I want to invest. His attitude is to invest, but he will be in charge of the store, Song Ning said. She said that to send a signal. Night Sorrow was under her protection, and she was very accommodating. Interesting. I may be protective, but I am also a reasonable person. If Xianing can't be taken down, then so be it. I won't interfere, and I won't rob him. Even if I do, I won't rob you, Song Ning, Yuan Ji said with a smile. Haha. Elder is very generous. Song Ning cupped his hands at Yuan Ji. In the ethereal dynasty, a high-ranking official represented a faction. If one wanted a faction to last for a long time, they would need talents. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation talents were the seeds to become experts. Even if they couldn't be recruited, they would at least have a good relationship with them. If they couldn't do that, they would kill them. Therefore, snatching and killing talents happen from time to time. All right, I will also pay attention to the talents you have high hopes for, Song Ning, Yuan Ji said as he stood up. Of course they won't be bad. They won't be worse than your disciple. Also, tell Xianing that Guanyue Mansion and Tianyang Mansion are in the wrong this time. She shouldn't interfere. It's not good. Song Ning said. In fact, she was reminding him that she didn't want to have a conflict with Yuan Ji. However, if Gong Xianing got involved, it wouldn't be good. Gong Yufan, Yang Tianlai. The 7 mansion lords are either outstanding or fallen. This can't be helped. Yuan Ji stood up and left. Chapter 1583. After sending Wu Feng off, Night Sorrow stood in front of the mansion's practice field, deep in thought. He knew that there would always be someone stronger than him, but the strength of Gong Xian's shadow technique was still beyond his expectations. After some thought, Night Sorrow felt that if he wanted to break Gong Xian's shadow sword technique, he had to come up with a countermeasure. If half of his true qi was lost, the power would be greatly reduced. But if he could infuse the virtuous immortal body's power into his weapon, then the true qi lost would be greatly reduced, and he might have a chance at victory. With this idea in mind, Knight Sorrow took out the Space Splitter Spear and activated his virtuous immortal body. Energy poured into his arms and into his weapon. Then he stepped forward and used the Void Ultimate Strike and Void Origin Strike. The two spear techniques were constantly exchanged. At this moment, the surface of the Space Splitter Spear was filled with true chi, while the interior was filled with the power of his body. Every time Knight Sorrow thrust out the spear, space would tremble and ripple. They were not energy ripples, but ripples caused by the impact of space. After Tsong Ning arrived, she squinted her eyes and looked around, then sat down at a tea table on the side of the practice field. Noticing Tsong Ning's arrival, Knight Sorrow put away his spear and sat across from Tsong Ning. He poured her a cup of water from the teapot. "Old Tsong, what brings you here?" "Boss Tsong." Hearing Knight Sorrow call her that, Tsong Ning was stunned. No one had ever called her that before. "Big Brother Wufeng said that your business is very big, so he told me to call you Boss Tsong," Knight Sorrow said. "All right. My business is very big." Tsong Ning shook her head helplessly. Since Wufeng said so, she had to accept it. Knight Sorrow looked at Tsong Ning, and Tsong Ning looked back at Knight Sorrow. After a while, Tsong Ning took a sip of the tea. After drinking it, she was stunned. "This tea is very powerful? I got it by chance. I was in a good mood today, so I made a pot. Old Tsong, if you like it, you can take a small bag with you," Knight Sorrow said with a smile. After sending Wufeng away, he took out a pot of soul-nurturing tea and brewed it. Tsong Ning had caught up. "A small bag?" Tsong Ning glanced at Knight Sorrow. "A small packet is already good enough. I don't have much of this either." Knight Sorrow felt that he was being very generous. He really didn't have much soul-nourishing tea. "That's fine too. I saw your marksmanship just now. You should be able to defeat that Gong Xian shadow. Why did you only suppress it and not defeat it?" Tsong Ning asked. She had just seen Knight Sorrow's spear art and felt that it was very powerful. Those below the martial emperor realm shouldn't be able to withstand it. "This is a solution I came up with after the battle. I didn't feel this way during the battle." However, Gong Xian's sword Dao is very powerful. "None of the great emperors I've seen are as threatening as her," Knight Sorrow said. After hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Tsong Ning was stunned. What did Knight Sorrow's words mean? It meant that he had a high level of comprehension. Not long after the battle, he was a battle genius. Besides, from Knight Sorrow's words, she also knew that Knight Sorrow had fought with a martial emperor realm cultivator before. "Which martial emperor realm cultivator did you fight with?" Tsong Ning asked. 3/forever v long free to watch, small one said. "My hometown. The leader of another world. However, he should be an early emperor. He's not that strong." Knight Sorrow knew that he had let it slip, but he didn't think it was a big deal. There are trash in the martial emperor realm. However, that's only for other martial emperors. For cultivators below the 9th level, even the trash of a martial emperor realm cultivator is an insurmountable mountain. Tsong Ning said. She had seen Knight Sorrow fight in the cage. She had seen Knight Sorrow's battle intent. She knew what Knight Sorrow used to fight against the martial emperor realm. However, she was still surprised to know that Knight Sorrow had fought with a martial emperor realm cultivator before. "If you work hard, all problems can be solved," Knight Sorrow said after taking a sip of tea. "You're right. That Gong Xianing, if she doesn't provoke you, you shouldn't provoke her either. She came here to fight with you without killing intent. She probably wants to defeat you and resolve her grudge with Guan Yue Manor. It's not worth it," Tsong Ning said. "Old Tsong, you're very well informed. I won't argue with you. I don't dislike Gong Xianing. She fought for her father and her family. She fought fair and square. I'll be fine as long as she doesn't bother me in the future. However, I'm not afraid of sparring," Knight Sorrow said from the bottom of his heart. He didn't dislike Gong Xianing. Instead, he admired her. Arena Champion 100 didn't kill anyone. This was a kind of kindness. "There's no point in sparring anymore. You were evenly matched last time. Now you have a new feeling. There are two types of energy in the spear. One is reserved and increases the power of the attack. The other is ferocious. Her dual polarity sword Dao can't block it. Besides, she's different from you. Even if you don't have this spear technique, she won't be your match in a life and death battle. As for you saying that I'm well informed, didn't Wufing say that I have a big business? That's why I know more. Song Ning said. I don't intend to provoke her. However, the battles in the blood battle arena have to continue. Besides, I'm not sure if she'll come looking for trouble with me. Night Sorrow said. Probably not. Just let nature take its course. Also, don't underestimate any martial emperor realm force. Their foundation and the power they can control are not something you can imagine. Some people specialize in one absolute art and can easily achieve great things. There are still some who can dominate the world with just one move. Alright, you can continue to study your spear technique. After Song Ning finished speaking, she left in a flash. She had come to ask about the situation and also to give Yishang some advice. However, she was very surprised by what she saw. She was sure that as long as Yishang grew up smoothly, he would be a great seedling. Song Ning felt that she had to be cautious. Night Sorrow had already surfaced and would be noticed by various forces. There were only two ways to deal with talents. One was to rope them in, and the other was to kill them. No one would be lenient. This was the way of the world. In the ethereal imperial city, the elders of the City Lord Mansion and the 7 Mansion Lords all represented their respective forces. There were always open and covert struggles. The ethereal battle empress had a laissez-faire attitude. In her world, there was only the concept of the strong. She believed that only with competition would there be pressure. Only with pressure would there be experts. Competition wouldn't wear down one's strength, but would only stimulate one's potential. Song Ning didn't care about the Guanyue Mansion and the Heavenly Sun Mansion. However, there were 2 elders in the City Lord Mansion that she couldn't ignore. They were old antiques who had fought alongside the ethereal battle empress. Whether it was strength or status in the eyes of the ethereal battle empress, they weren't inferior to her. In the Shadow Mansion, the young Mansion Lord Luo Fei was listening to his subordinate's report. White robe, silver spear. Inform this young Mansion Lord the next time he fights in the blood battle arena. Is it that assassin? I will recognize him. Luo Fei's face was filled with a gloomy aura. Luo Fei suffered a great loss when his true body was killed. It was hard to say if he could recover. However, he had lost a lot of face and became the laughingstock of many mansion lords in the Shadow Mansion. He had been investigating the assassin's identity. After Night Sorrow became the 10th Arena Lord, some news spread to the various manors. Luo Fei also knew about it. When he heard that it was a spear expert, Luo Fei paid attention to it. Chapter 1584. After receiving the message from Gong Xian's servant girl, Gong Yufan's face turned gloomy. He didn't know what had happened. Gong Xian's shadow said that he didn't accept the challenge. He wasn't sure if he didn't accept the challenge or was defeated, so he didn't know what to do. After thinking for a while, he ordered the Heaven Monarch who was challenged by Night Sorrow to reject the challenge. After cultivating for an entire day, Night Sorrow received a notification from the blood battle stage. The Heaven Monarch of the Moon-Gazing Prefecture had rejected the challenge, but the 10th champion, dominating Heaven Blade, had challenged him. It was a grudge cage death match. The 10th champion, dominating Heaven Blade? Do I have a grudge with him? I don't remember such a person from the Moon-Gazing Prefecture or the Sky-Sun Prefecture. Night Sorrow was a little puzzled. There were 2 battle modes in the blood battle stage. The first was a grudge cage death match. There was no such thing as admitting defeat or surrendering. The other was the blood battle mode. There was a saying of surrendering, but surrendering didn't guarantee survival. The blood battle mode was also a cage battle. The cage was called the battle cage. If one side admitted defeat, they could admit defeat, but it wasn't a truce. It depended on the other side's choice. If the side with the advantage didn't accept the challenge, the weaker side would still be killed even if they admitted defeat. In other words, one had to be prepared to die in the blood battle stage. After all, there weren't many people like Gong Xian who didn't want to kill. There were many applicants for the blood battle mode. Both sides would be drawn from the lot box on the blood battle stage. There was no such thing as an arranged battle. Only a grudge cage deathmatch could be arranged. He is now a guest elder of the Sky-Sun Prefecture. He is fighting for the Sky-Sun Prefecture. Lord Night Sorrow has a grudge with the Sky-Sun Prefecture. Thus, dominating Heaven Blade's reason for challenging Lord Night Sorrow is valid. The staff member in front of the blood battle stage explained. I understand. This is external help from the Sky Sun Prefecture. I accept this challenge. Knight Sorrow said. Although he didn't know Dominating Heaven Blade, if Dominating Heaven Blade wanted to take advantage of him, then Knight Sorrow had nothing to say. If he dared to fight, then he would have to pay the price. Datura had returned. Along with his return, Ghost Monkey's face was covered in cold sweat in a loft to the side of Gong Xian's residence in Siyu Manor. A piercing pain constantly spread to his heart. At first, he didn't know what was going on, but later on, he understood that something had happened to the doppelganger that Knight Sorrow had absorbed, which was then transmitted to his main body. Ghost Monkey endured the pain. Just like Xie Bing, he felt that he would be fine as long as he could endure it. However, the pain was endless. Knight Sorrow disdained to use any tricks against an opponent he had no enmity with, and he could just use the rules. However, Ghost Monkey was a petty person who had attacked him before, so he did not hold back. After Datura returned, he went to the shop to check on the situation, while Knight Sorrow continued to practice his spear arts. Just as he finished practicing his spear arts and was drinking tea and resting, the Divine Devil Castle token in Knight Sorrow's sleeve vibrated. Knowing that the Divine Devil Castle was looking for him, Knight Sorrow informed Lan Ning and left the mansion. He then made a detour to the Divine Devil Castle. Elder Naylan brought Knight Sorrow into the underground castle. Today, I called you here for 2 reasons. The first is that someone has issued a mission to assassinate you. The Divine Devil Castle will not cheat its own people, but we will not reject the mission either. Rejecting the mission means that you are related to the Divine Devil Castle. The Divine Devil Castle has never rejected a mission before. As long as you can pay the price, we will accept the mission, Elder Naylan said. I can't refuse the mission? What will I do if I accept it? Knight Sorrow was puzzled by Elder Naylan. Accept it. If the mission fails, you will no longer accept any missions related to you. It's that simple. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we have a mission for you. However, since you don't have much time recently, the duration of this mission is relatively long. Elder Naylan then told Knight Sorrow what the mission was. It was to kill the son of the East Hao Mountain's great elder. Is there no Divine Devil Castle branch in the East Hao region? Why do we need the Ethereal Dynasty branch? Knight Sorrow asked, puzzled. It's because they can't complete the mission. They have already failed twice, and the executors have been killed. Therefore, this is not only the mission itself, but also the Divine Devil Castle's efficiency and reputation. After communicating with the Divine Devil Castle branches in the nearby regions, I feel that you can do it. Of course, you can choose not to accept the mission, Elder Naylan said. He was free to accept the mission, so Knight Sorrow could reject it. I'm more concerned about the points. Also, what's the time limit? Knight Sorrow said with a smile. It's more than 3 times the previous mission. 7,000 points. This is very rare for missions below the Overlord rank. The time limit is 1 month, Elder Naylan said to Knight Sorrow. Then I'll accept it, Knight Sorrow said. Why didn't you ask if the target's moral character is bad this time? Leng Lai asked after entering the private room. He has already killed 2 people from the Divine Devil Castle. I don't care about his moral character. Although I haven't met him before, we belong to the same faction. If a member of the same faction is killed, I have to do something. Besides, didn't Elder Lung say that if he was given a mission, he had a reason to be killed? Knight Sorrow said. I like you, kid. Also, he should have a rune on him. If you get it, you'll get an additional 2,000 points, Elder Naylan said. Elder Naylan said. At the same time, he handed a crystal ball and a detailed mission list to Yi Shan. After taking a look at the mission list, Knight Sorrow remembered the image in the crystal ball and destroyed it on the spot. Then, he took out his identity plate and mission plate and handed them to Elder Naylan. Okay, then it's up to you. Elder Naylan nodded. There's one more thing. My wife should have joined the Divine Devil Castle recently. She's a woman in a black dress. If it's a particularly dangerous mission, don't give it to her. Give it to me. I'll take it all, Knight Sorrow said. We know that she's your wife. You know that she joined the Divine Devil Castle. Does she know that you joined? Leng Lai said. I'm not sure, but she should have some guesses. Let's not talk about this topic. We have a tacit understanding. Night Sorrow said with a nod. It's hard for a husband and wife to talk in riddles. Today, you've confirmed that you're both members of the Divine Devil Castle. The communication between you two isn't considered a leak. You're all members of the Divine Devil Castle. How can it be considered a leak? Also, before you carry out the mission, come to the Divine Devil Castle's hall and walk around before you go. Elder Nayland smiled at Night Sorrow. Why? Night Sorrow didn't understand. Because the Divine Devil Castle has a formation that interferes with the secrets of the heavens. Divination is ineffective. When you leave the Divine Devil Castle, you leave the Divine Devil Castle and complete the mission. Even if the other party divines, it's only the part where you leave the Divine Devil Castle. They won't find out anything else, Elder Nayland said. Thank you, Elder. I'll take my leave. Night Sorrow left a jar of wine on the table and then turned to leave. This little guy is very good. I admire him. This mission shouldn't be difficult for him. He's good at actual combat. The results of the blood battle arena have already explained everything, Elder Nayland said. When Night Sorrow returned to his mansion, Datura came back from the Sage Pavilion. Where did you go? Datura asked. Chapter 1585. When they arrived at a relatively quiet garden, Yishan activated an array formation to isolate them from prying eyes. Only then did he start talking about the Fiend God Castle. We can finally talk. This is so suffocating, but it's nothing. We're all members of the Divine Devil Castle, so talking about things doesn't count as leaking secrets. So what if you know about me? So what if I know about you? If you dare to tell outsiders, you'll suffer the backlash of your oath, Datura said. Night Sorrow then told Datura about his plans. After dealing with dominating Heaven Blade, he would go on a mission. Although he had a month, it was better to hurry up and go early. He would have plenty of time to prepare and seize the opportunity. Datura didn't say anything unnecessary. She wasn't a sloppy person. She would only support Night Sorrow's decision and not hinder him. After practicing spear arts for 2 days, it was time for Night Sorrow and dominating Heaven Blade's battle. Night Sorrow and Datura took Lan Ying and Ji Dao to the blood battle platform in a beast carriage. Datura led Lan Ying and Ji Dao to the VIP room to watch. Night Sorrow sat down in the participant's seat. Not far from him sat Dominating Heaven Blade, who was also one of the 10 champions. Dominating Heaven Blade was a title. The origin of this title was due to his weapon and blade technique. His blade was as wide and thick as a small door. The back of the blade was covered with jagged teeth that emitted a dim light. There was also a dark red color on the blade, which was dried blood. In addition, Dominating Heaven Blade's blade technique was also extremely violent. Fu Wu walked to the front of the stage and introduced the 2 sides. Night Sorrow's payout had been raised to 2-1. Although he was confident in Night Sorrow, setting the payout at 3-1 or 4-1 was inappropriate. After all, his opponent Dominating Heaven Blade wasn't a rookie. He was also a ruthless character who had won consecutive battles. Sure enough, after hearing the payout, Dominating Heaven Blade stood up and said, Lord Fu, you're looking down on me by setting the payout at 2-1 for such a trash tumbler. The payout represented one's worth. If Night Sorrow bet 1 million, he would win 500,000. If Dominating Heaven Blade bet 1 million, he would win 2 million. This ratio meant that in the eyes of the blood battle platform, Dominating Heaven Blade was inferior to Night Sorrow. This made Dominating Heaven Blade somewhat angry. Isn't a tumbler just a tumbler? That's why the payout battle platform's business. You only need to fight. It's not up to you to interfere with the battle platform. At first, he was calm, but towards the end, his voice. Dominating Heaven Blade wanted to say something, but he didn't continue. He was very domineering, but who was he talking to? If he had the ability, he could have just won. If he tried to be domineering at this moment, he would be slapped in the face. You dare to laugh? In a moment, I'll cut your corpse into 8 pieces. Even if someone wants to buy it, I won't sell it. I'll chop you into pieces. Dominating Heaven Blade was very angry at Night Sorrow's smile. Since you're so confident, then let's make a bet. I'll take as many Holy Spirit stones as your main body sends. Do you dare? Night Sorrow probed and found out that Dominating Heaven Blade was a doppelganger like him. Then take out some Holy Spirit stones. Let's make a big bet. Lord Fu, can you postpone the battle for a quarter of an hour? Dominating Heaven Blade glared at Night Sorrow and then looked at Fu Wu. Sure. Then hurry up and place your bets. You can place your bets now. Come take them. Fu Wu roared. Night Sorrow was speechless as he looked at the crazy bets. No one was optimistic about him. They were all betting on Dominating Heaven Blade. First of all, Dominating Heaven Blade was one of the 10 champions. All of his battles were dominated. On the other hand, Night Sorrow was always stumbling and could fall at any time. Furthermore, Dominating Heaven Blade's payout was very high. Fatty secretly looked for a staff member to place 1,000,000 bets. Then, he gave Night Sorrow a thumbs up. He believed in Night Sorrow. Percent upped, new max V fast percent UAs. After placing their bets, Dominating Heaven Blade's main body arrived. He was wearing a long black robe. You want to make a bet? I have 3,000,000 here. Lord Fu, please be the witness. After saying that, Fu Wu threw a storage ring to Fu Wu. Fu Wu checked the contents of the storage ring and nodded. 3,000,000 Holy Spirit stones is correct. Night Sorrow, what about you? Are you taking 3,000,000 or how much? Why didn't your main body send the Holy Spirit stones? Dominating Heaven Blade roared at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow didn't move. He was worried that Night Sorrow was playing with him. Do you need my main body to send it? I left in a hurry today and happened to have 3,000,000 Holy Spirit stones on me. If I let someone else keep it, it means that I don't have confidence in myself. So, I wanted to ask you to send some Holy Spirit stones. Lord Fu, please count them. Night Sorrow took out a storage ring and threw it to Fu Wu. Night Sorrow's words and actions stunned everyone. This was a scam, a blatant scam to Dominating Heaven Blade. In Night Sorrow's words, it was embarrassing to let someone else keep the Holy Spirit stones. He could only bring them into the battle cage. What if he died in battle? The spoils would naturally belong to Dominating Heaven Blade. However, things were different now. Night Sorrow had asked Dominating Heaven Blade to send 3,000,000 Holy Spirit stones to make a bet. He even made it clear that Dominating Heaven Blade was a fool. You schemed against me. You deserve to die. Dominating Heaven Blade was so angry that his face turned red. It was a slap to his face to be schemed against. You called me a tumbler. If I didn't scheme against you, who else would I scheme against? I schemed against you because you were too arrogant, and also because you were an idiot, Yishang said coldly. Wu Feng shook his head. He felt that Night Sorrow's thoughts were too strong. He had ruthlessly tricked Dominating Heaven Blade with his performance. On the top floor of the tallest pavilion, a smile appeared on Song Ning's face. Interesting. Why doesn't anyone think that Night Sorrow is confident and has the resources to back him up? What a bunch of pigs. Haha, young master is too funny. This is a slap to the face. It's mainly because that guy's mouth is too cheap. He scolded people as soon as he opened his mouth. He needs to be taught a lesson. Lan Ning laughed from the private room. At that moment, Fu Wu stepped forward and opened the door of the battle cage. You can enter now. Dominating Heaven Blade's body flashed and entered the battle cage. He waved his blade, which was as wide as a door, and created several energy whirlpools. He then looked at Night Sorrow. Come in and accept your death. Watch me chop you into pieces. You accepted someone else's job and plan to earn Holy Spirit stones from me. Don't blame the heavens when you die. Night Sorrow stepped into the battle cage and stood at his position before every battle. He then held the Space Splitter Spear in his hand. Fu Wu closed the door of the battle cage. The 10 champions are all elites, but someone is destined to fall today. It can't be helped. Fu Wu sighed and shot a beam of energy at the Soul Seeker gong. As the gong rang, Dominating Heaven Blade leaped into the air and waved his door-sized blade at Night Sorrow. Chapter 1586. Ding! Night Sorrow's Space Splitter Spear collided with Dominating Heaven Blade's battle blade, producing a crisp sound. Night Sorrow's feet rumbled as Dominating Heaven Blade's power was transmitted to his feet. However, Night Sorrow didn't even take a step back. Instead, he sent Dominating Heaven Blade's body flying back. This was the result of Night Sorrow's virtuous immortal body's power infused into his arms, adding to the power of his weapon. After forcing Dominating Heaven Blade back, Night Sorrow quickly retracted the energy of his virtuous immortal body. It would be best if his finishing move was not discovered by others. After all, there weren't many people who had the same eyesight as Tsong Ning. Besides, even if Tsong Ning had seen through it, Night Sorrow had been cultivating it himself, so the traces were obvious. It was normal for others not to discover it. After all, Dominating Heaven Blade's ferocious charge and that door-like battle blade were very eye-catching. After retracting the power of his virtuous immortal body, Night Sorrow's feet trembled as his body rushed up like a wild beast, rushing towards Dominating Heaven Blade who was flying back. Next, he brandished his Space Splitter Spear, bombarding Dominating Heaven Blade with a shockwave of time. Dominating Heaven Blade was shocked. Violent attacks were his forte, but now, he was repelled by Night Sorrow in a frontal attack. Although he was shocked, Dominating Heaven Blade didn't panic. While retreating, he still brandished his blade to attack, but the power of his attack wasn't at its peak. Night Sorrow's Space Splitter Spear didn't stab anymore. It was just a violent attack, bombarding Dominating Heaven Blade and forcing him to retreat. Berserk! Dominating Heaven Blade roared. His body turned red, and his aura became berserk. At the same time, a soul blade flew towards Night Sorrow. Soul attack. Dominating Heaven Blade didn't become one of the 10 champions for nothing. He had a secret soul attack skill. Seeing Dominating Heaven Blade's soul attack, Night Sorrow's head emitted a green light. He had activated the Green Lotus Jade Bracelet. The moment the Green Lotus Jade Bracelet was activated, in a private room near the edge of the blood battle arena, Luo Fei's eyes flashed coldly. His body was filled with killing intent. He was sure that Night Sorrow was the one who killed his true body. He recognized that green light. It was once his protective treasure, the Green Lotus Jade Bracelet. I will definitely kill you. An explosive sound came from Luo Fei's fists. It was the sound of air exploding when the air in his palms was compressed. At this moment, Tsong Ning, who was on the top floor of the tallest attic, looked at Luo Fei's attic. Tsong Ning was the person in charge of the blood battle arena. Not to mention that his soul power could penetrate the array and investigate the situation inside the blood battle arena. The area he was in was the center of the array and controlled everything inside the blood battle arena. Little star, pay attention to the person in private room 19. After he leaves, investigate what grudges he has with Night Sorrow and Dominating Heaven Blade. Tsong Ning instructed Little Star. Inside the cage, after Night Sorrow blocked Dominating Heaven Blade's soul attack, he once again channeled the energy of the virtuous immortal gilded body to his arms. Then, he fiercely thrust his spear at Dominating Heaven Blade, repelling him. At the same time, he also used Death Annihilation Slash. It was no longer a secret that he had death energy in his body. Night Sorrow could use it to his heart's content. However, Dominating Heaven Blade was not a rookie like Ghost Monkey, who could not withstand a single attack from Night Sorrow. He cultivated a secret soul attack. His soul power was tyrannical, and he also had a secret soul defense technique. He was enveloped by the halo produced by Night Sorrow's secret technique. A milky white light appeared around Dominating Heaven Blade's head, canceling out the black halo produced by Night Sorrow's Death Annihilation Slash. However, when the halo was cancelled out, his movements also became blank. It was very short, so short that Night Sorrow could not take advantage of it. However, Night Sorrow did not care. Since his Death Annihilation Slash had been blocked once and could not be used to kill, he would continue. After that, Night Sorrow continued to attack violently, suppressing Dominating Heaven Blade. He also continuously released Death Annihilation Slashes, which caused Dominating Heaven Blade's soul to become blank for a longer period of time. His soul's reaction time became slower, and Night Sorrow could not kill him. However, he could increase the intensity of his attacks and bombard Dominating Heaven Blade's defensive warblade, constantly pushing him back and causing his soul to become unstable. Spear after spear, Night Sorrow's attacks were like a river flowing in reverse, constantly bombarding Dominating Heaven Blade's warblade. 1 spear, 10 spears. When Night Sorrow blasted out the 12th Death Annihilation Slash, Dominating Heaven Blade's soul's reaction time had reached a critical point, and he could no longer defend. Night Sorrow's Space Splitter Spear pierced through space, piercing through Dominating Heaven Blade's head and shattering his Divine Sea. The warblade is very good. Even if it's melted, it can still be used as refining materials. Knight Sorrow put away Dominating Heavenblade's warblade and storage ring. He then put Dominating Heavenblade's doppelganger's corpse into an empty storage ring. Fu Wu stepped forward and opened the door of the cage. Knight Sorrow stepped out. Dominating Heavenblade. You lost. You don't have anything to deny, right? Fu Wu said to the ashen-faced Dominating Heavenblade. After glancing at Knight Sorrow again, Dominating Heavenblade left. He would only be asking for humiliation if he stayed. Seeing Dominating Heavenblade leave, Fu Wu gave the 2 storage rings to Knight Sorrow. He was the middleman of this external blockade, so he naturally had to take responsibility until the end. After taking the capital and profits of the external gamble, Knight Sorrow cupped his hands towards Fu Wu. Then, he went to the private room where Dachira and the other 2 were. I didn't want to show off, but this Dominating Heavenblade was too arrogant. I'll trick him a little more. Knight Sorrow took the 2 storage rings and checked them. In the blood battle platform, except for the damn fatty, many people left with resentful faces because they had fallen into a trap again. Fu Wu sent Knight Sorrow a bonus. Lord Knight, you fought beautifully. I reckon there will be more battles to come, Fu Wu said. Wu Meng Ting TXN most, fastest are. I'll accept all those who challenged me. However, I don't want to exhaust myself too much. Knight Sorrow said. Fu Wu nodded. I'll make arrangements for Lord Knight. If there are battles, I'll send someone to inform you. You can set the time yourself. Destroy this after reading it. It won't be good if word gets out. After speaking, Fu Wu gave Knight Sorrow a small booklet. After opening it, Knight Sorrow threw it into his storage ring. Thank you, Brother Fu. You're too polite. What is cooperation? You're suitable, and I'm suitable. We'll work together, Fu Wu said with a smile. Saint Spirit Stones were just a number to Knight Sorrow, but Star Moon City needed them too much. The cultivators in the Chaos Realm also needed them. There were only benefits to stockpiling Saint Spirit Stones. He could collect high-grade materials from some cultivators and then barter them for top-grade materials. Then, Knight Sorrow found a heavenly monarch in Guanyue Mansion to continue the challenge. Then, he left the blood battle platform with Dachira and the others. After returning to the mansion, Knight Sorrow poured himself a glass of wine. He drank while thinking. Are you still thinking about today's battle? Dachira asked. The Death Destruction Slash is not very powerful in my hands. There's a big gap between it and the Great Emperor Reincarnation Slash, Knight Sorrow said. Yes, the Underworld Stone has the law of death, but it doesn't have the will of death. Therefore, the energy that can affect space-time and souls is relatively low. This is indeed a disadvantage. Dachira nodded. After all, the death energy was not Knight Sorrow's own weakness. Chapter 1587. Actually, it can be solved. You can give the Underworld Stone to your main body and use the energy of death and the Edict of Death to comprehend the will of death. However, the energy of death is your trump card. You still need to use the Underworld Stone, said Dachira. Let me see if I can come up with another absolute art. Knight Sorrow said. He intended to use the energy of destruction to command other energies to research an absolute art. He wanted to walk the path of the Emperor's Samsara Slash. The energy of destruction and the energy of death were different for Knight Sorrow. The energy of destruction belonged to Knight Sorrow himself. The energy of death belonged to his main body. However, the energy of death and the Edict of Death belonged to the Underworld Stone. While Knight Sorrow was cultivating, Songning also received news from Little Star's investigation. My lord, the guest in private room 19 was the young lord of the Shadow Residence, Luo Fei. He has no dealings with Dominating Heavenblade or Knight Sorrow. If there is anything that happened recently, it would be the death of Luo Fei's main body. Luo Fei's main body was killed in the City of Shadows. At that time, there were 2 heavenly monarch bodyguards by his side. The assassin suddenly appeared, killed him in an instant, and fled. The assassin wore a white robe and used a silver spear, said Little Star. If it was an ordinary assassin, the Shadow Residents would definitely be able to find out who killed him with a divination. If there is no news of revenge, it means that there is no result from the investigation. Or perhaps there are other factors interfering with the investigation. There is only one possibility, Songning analyzed after thinking for a moment. Perhaps Luo Fei discovered something in the blood battle arena, said Little Star. She also had her guesses but did not dare to voice them out. No one can say for sure. Then let's keep quiet and kill, Songning said as he knocked on the armrest of his chair. She had her own speculations. First of all, Luo Fei's main body might not have been killed by Night Sorrow. If Luo Fei believed so, he would treat Night Sorrow as his opponent. No grudges? That was easy. All she had to do was create grudges. Whether she was in the wrong or not, it was easy to create grudges. Night Sorrow did nothing but offended 3 manners. This had never happened before. No one would be so bold. After cultivating for 2 days, Night Sorrow left his residence. He took a tour around the Divine Castle and took a teleportation array to the eastern region. As for the blood battle arena, Night Sorrow had discussed with Datura. Battle. Calm. After the blood battle platform accepted the challenge, there was a 1-month time limit. If one didn't show up after a month, it would be considered a refusal to accept the challenge. Elder Nalin and Elder Lang Yu knew that Yi Shang had gone to carry out a mission after discovering that he had left after arriving. I hope everything goes well for this kid. This way, he'll be able to gain some face for us 2 old fellows. It'll also be beneficial for him to raise his status in the God Devil Castle in the future. That way, we'll be able to help him get through some tribulations at critical moments. Elder Nalin said. He is the grand sage of merit and virtue. He is a righteous person, but that doesn't mean he is stupid. Look at the blood battle arena. How many people have been cheated by him? We know how strong dominating Heaven Blade is. But so what? Not only did his clone get destroyed, but he also cheated 3 million Saint Spirit Stones. Leng Lai shook his head. He admired Night Sorrow's style. He wasn't a kind and nice guy who would explode when it was time. Smart people won't make enemies with people of virtue. That's going against the heavenly Tao. Night Sorrow is the merit great sage. Let's not talk about rank 9 great emperors. Rank 8 great emperors will be greatly affected. Elder Nalin said. The number 1 power in the Eastern region was the Eastern region's Mountain Lord. The Mountain Lord was the Eastern region's monarch. The other great emperor was the Great Elder. Night Sorrow's target was the Great Elder's son, Xian. Night Sorrow didn't wear a mask because it would be too conspicuous. Stepping out of the hall of the Divine Castle, Night Sorrow used energy to change his appearance. Night Sorrow found an inn to stay in when he arrived at the Eastern region. JY Forever exempt you fee to read. Novel Square Root. Night Sorrow was already familiar with Xian's information. He was a piece of trash who did whatever he wanted just because he was the 2nd great emperor of the Eastern region. There was nothing he wouldn't do. He didn't even have the temperament of a cultivator. He bullied men and women. It was fine if he was a domineering woman, but he was also a sissy who liked men without any morals. Xian didn't live in the Eastern region. Instead, he lived in a mansion in the Eastern region. Under normal circumstances, it would be easy to assassinate him. But why did the Divine Castle fail twice? It was because there was an inescapable net in his mansion. Not only was there a dense array formation, but there was also a team of heavenly monarch guards. It was very difficult to assassinate him. The success rate was very low. Night Sorrow would walk around Xian's mansion every day to understand the situation inside. However, the situation was a little different from what was recorded. The information indicated that there was an array formation in Xian's mansion, but it didn't say that it was an emperor-grade array formation. Night Sorrow checked and realized that the level of the array formation had already exceeded his array formation cultivation. Fortunately, the situation wasn't too difficult to deal with. Night Sorrow couldn't break the array formation, but he could find the weak points of the array formation. He could enter the spatial turbulence and pass through the weak points of the array formation before killing him. With an idea, Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry to take action. He hadn't seen Xian yet. He had to make sure that Xian was in the mansion before he could take action. Night Sorrow also knew that if he killed Xian, he would completely offend the Eastern region. Although the Divine Castle had an array formation that interfered with the heavenly secrets and the other party wouldn't be able to find out anything, the karma had already intersected. It was impossible for him to have any good karma with the Eastern region. Waiting for an opportunity, Knight Sorrow moved to an inn that wasn't far from Xian's mansion. He then waited and made sure that Xian was in the mansion before he could kill him. During this period, Knight Sorrow went to the Divine Castle in the eastern region once. His reason was that he wanted to join, but he said that he needed to consider. This was to hide his identity and origin. On the 5th day, Xian appeared. He was very impressive with a retinue. There were 6 Heaven Monarch Realm Guards and 2 teams of Monarch Realm Guards. There was no way to kill him. The Divine Castle would only send people of the same rank to carry out an assassination mission. They wouldn't send any Emperor-grade members to kill a Heaven Monarch realm target. However, how was a Heaven Monarch going to kill Xian, who was surrounded by Heaven Monarch guards? Wait. Knight Sorrow followed from afar and looked for an opportunity. Whether it was an opportunity that he was waiting for or capturing, it was enough as long as it appeared once. It was indeed difficult for Knight Sorrow to create an opportunity if he didn't want to expose himself by himself. Xian went to an elixir store and took a custom-made elixir. Then, he strolled on the streets. Then, his behavior proved why he was given the assassination mission. He caught a beautiful woman on the street, and then he caught a burly man. "Let me go!" The man who was trapped yelled. "So fierce? When we go back, you won't be so fierce. I will make you satisfied." Xian's voice was a little feminine. To put it bluntly, he was a sissy. Xian then led the guards and brought the captured man and woman back to the mansion. Chapter 1588. Back in the inn, Knight Sorrow put on his mask and used the Void Ultimate Kill with the space-splitting spear, piercing a small hole in space. Then, he controlled the 8-dragon cauldron to bring him in and flew in the spatial turbulence. Flying in the spatial turbulence was indeed very stressful, but Knight Sorrow's body was strong. With the space-time willpower protecting his body, he was able to withstand it. When he reached the periphery of Xian's mansion, an array appeared in the spatial turbulence. This was the power of an Emperor-level array. Even in the celestial realm, where the spatial barrier was strong, it could affect the spatial turbulence. Of course, this was just an additional ability. The spatial barrier of the celestial realm was strong and tough. It was too difficult to break it. Knight Sorrow had to use his supreme attribute skill to break a small hole and then use a spatial treasure to enter. Knight Sorrow found the weakest point of the array, where the ceiling energy was the lowest. Then he went in. The Emperor-level array covered a relatively large area. Knight Sorrow flew for a while before passing through the array and reaching the core area of the mansion. In a side yard of the mansion, Knight Sorrow found Xian. Outside the side yard, 6 Heaven Monarchs were meditating and guarding. The 6 of them were in different positions, guarding the side yard where Xian was. There was also a small team of monarchs outside. It could be said that the defense was watertight. The side yard's main hall was a very unbearable scene. The woman who was caught by Xian had her cultivation sealed. She knelt on the ground and hugged a pillar with both hands. The man who was caught had his cultivation sealed as well. His hands were tied behind his back. "Hey, you take care of me. I'll take care of her." Xian looked at the man whose hands were tied and said. At this moment, there was rouge on his face, his lips were red, and he was wearing a green gauze. "Damn pervert, get lost. I want to vomit now." The man whose hands were tied behind his back cursed. "Kill me if you can." The woman also shouted. The current Xian was too disgusting and too scary. "Even if you don't submit, I have a way. With 2 pills, you too won't be like this now. You'll be like beasts in heat. There won't be any consequences if you take the initiative." Forcing this young master to waste medicine. Then this young master will cut off your flesh piece by piece after this young master is happy. I won't hide it from you guys. This young master often eats human flesh now. I've been rearing disobedient fellows in this residence. Cutting their flesh every day to go with wine is pretty good. They are all emperor kings and can recover by themselves. They can continue to be cut. I killed them because I was sick of eating them and wanted to change them. Since the 2 of you are disobedient, then I can only raise you as food. Xian wiped his lips and said, "Trash, scum." After hearing Xian's words, Knight Sorrow was infuriated. He had seen many low-quality cultivators, but he had never seen such a scumbag. The man and woman who were caught were very hot-blooded. They refused to submit and were forced to submit. That wasn't a flaw in their character. If they submitted, they would never be able to stand up straight again. When Xian took out 2 elixirs and was about to feed them, Knight Sorrow made his move. His Void Splitter Spear used the Void Extreme Kill to break the spatial barrier. He then flashed into the 8-Dragon Cauldron and used the 8-Dragon Cauldron to break out of the spatial barrier. He then used the Emperor Samsara Slash. As an assassin, one must kill in a single strike. Hence, Knight Sorrow used his strongest attack. When Yi Shang appeared, Xian was alerted. He wanted to shout for help, but Emperor Yi Shang used Reincarnation Slash. The halo created by the slash enveloped Xian. Before he could shout, the scene was frozen. Yi Shang's Space Splitter Spear pierced through the air and pierced towards Xian's forehead. At this moment, there was a change. A small round shield flew in from the outside and blocked the path of Knight Sorrow's Void Splitter Spear. Xian's subordinates had arrived. 6 Heaven Monarchs were outside the courtyard and were ready to join the battle at any time. One of the Heaven Monarchs noticed the situation, but he couldn't stop Knight Sorrow in time. Hence, he threw out a defensive artifact. There weren't many chances. Knight Sorrow pressed down with his Void Splitter Spear. He didn't pierce Xian's Divine Sea. Instead, he attacked from the middle and pierced into Xian's Dantian, shattering it. At this moment, Heaven Monarchs appeared in front and behind him. Knight Sorrow controlled the 8-Dragon Cauldron to enlarge and smashed it behind him. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. There was an earth-shaking explosion as the 8-Dragon Cauldron smashed on the ground. The intense energy blasted out in all directions, forcing the Heaven Monarchs who wanted to attack from the back to retreat. Xian didn't have any energy protection and was knocked unconscious. The man and woman that Xian caught were also knocked unconscious. Knight Sorrow's attack was too ruthless. He used all his strength to activate the 8-Dragon Cauldron smash, and it was already at the level of a Heaven Monarch. Xian and the man and woman were only knocked unconscious and weren't killed. As they were close to Knight Sorrow, the artifact spirit of the 8-Dragon Cauldron deliberately controlled the energy sputtering out. Knight Sorrow didn't bother about the attack from the Heaven Monarch who threw out the round shield. He waved his left sleeve and sent the unconscious Xian, the man, and the woman into the 8-Dragon Cauldron. The pillar that the woman was hugging had already been shattered. The man who threw out the round shield stabbed his sword into Knight Sorrow's chest, but it didn't cause any damage. Knight Sorrow had the mystic yellow armor to protect his body. His defense wasn't that easy to break through. The Void Splitter Spear forced the man back. Knight Sorrow executed the afterimage body and then executed the Void Extreme Kill with the Void Splitter Spear to break open the space. Knight Sorrow didn't dare to stay any longer. He detected that there were movements in all directions. A black-robed man with an extremely strong aura presence was flying over rapidly, and would arrive in a moment. After piercing the space, Knight Sorrow entered the 8-Dragon Cauldron and controlled it to enter the spatial turbulence. When the Heaven Monarchs under Xian destroyed Knight Sorrow's afterimage, Knight Sorrow was already gone. Just as the energy dissipated, a black-robed man appeared. The black-robed man had a very strong killing intent. His eyes were filled with white pupils. "Where is Xian?" Reporting to the Grand Elder. Young Master was captured by that man. The man who threw out the round shield bowed and said, he was the captain of the guards. In fact, the black-robed man had already investigated everything here. He just asked out of habit. After glaring at the guards, the black-robed man waved his hand and stabbed at the spatial barrier. This sword cut open an opening in the spatial zone. However, it was pitch black and nothing could be seen. Knight Sorrow had already vanished without a trace. Knight Sorrow was under a lot of pressure while flying in the spatial turbulence, but it was still bearable. No matter how great the pressure was, Knight Sorrow could only use the will of time and space to resist the invasion from the spatial turbulence storm. At the same time, he used his soul spirit power to check the situation outside. He didn't use any other abilities because he knew that the other party would definitely divine the current situation. After flying to the vicinity of the God Devil Castle in the spatial turbulence, he used his energy to change his appearance again. In a corner of the real world, Knight Sorrow slipped out from the spatial turbulence and walked towards the God Devil Castle. The moment he entered the God Devil Castle, Knight Sorrow took off his mask because the other party couldn't divine the situation here. Knight Sorrow planned to lead the other party's investigation to the God Devil Castle in the Eastern Hao region and cut it off. This way, the chances of him being exposed would be much lower. After entering the God-Devil Castle, a staff member asked about it. Knight Sorrow still responded by considering if he should join or not. However, at this moment, a masked woman appeared. Chapter 1589. She was very serious. There was no room for negotiation. Yi Shang knew that if he didn't show his identity tablet again, this woman would really kill him. She could kill him because she was an emperor cultivator. I'm sorry to disturb, Senior. I'll leave now. Knight Sorrow smiled apologetically. It was a little awkward to be exposed. Knight Sorrow turned around and left the God-Fiend castle. He changed back into his original appearance and attire. He arrived at the teleportation array and teleported away. After teleporting to another city, Knight Sorrow left the city and went to the mountains. He put on a mask and brought out Xian, a man and a woman who had woken up from the 8-dragon cauldron. Who are you? You will die if you attack me. Don't you understand? Xian's energy was still very arrogant even though his dantian was broken. Are you two going to deal with him or should I? Knight Sorrow didn't care about Xian. He waved his hand and unsealed the dantian of the man and woman. Sir, can we do as we please? The man and woman stood up. Of course. Knight Sorrow nodded. After bowing to Yi Shang, the man went to the side and chopped off a tree branch. After trimming it casually, he shouted at Xian, Are you King Ichi? I'll fulfill your wish. Knight Sorrow turned around. He couldn't watch anymore. It was too violent. What was this man doing? He was doing what Xian forced him to do. However, he was using a large wooden stick. The woman was also a ruthless person. She used her sword to cut off Xian's evil things. Following this, Xian, who had no energy to protect his body, kept screaming. All right, you two have vented your anger. Hurry up and leave. Don't go to Eastern House City again. Go as far as you can. Whether you can live or not depends on your own fate. Yi Shang shouted at the man and woman who had vented their anger. They bowed to Knight Sorrow once more before disappearing. They were both kings, so they naturally knew that today's events would cause a huge commotion. Seeing the man and woman disappear, Knight Sorrow pierced Xian's spiritual sea with his spear and took Xian's storage ring. He put Xian's corpse into a trash storage ring and flew to the city to teleport away. After the black-clothed man cut open the space and saw nothing, he found the diviner to divine the whereabouts of Xian. The diviner divined that Xian's dantian was shattered and he was lying in a special space. Then, the scene shattered. When the vision shattered, Knight Sorrow had entered the god's castle. Then, the next diviner had divined the situation after Knight Sorrow had left. When Knight Sorrow had left the spatial turbulence and entered the god's castle, it had stopped. The black-clothed old man's face was ashen. Needless to say, this matter was definitely done by a killer from the God-Devil Castle, but he was unable to determine the killer's identity and whereabouts. At that moment, Xian, whose aura was dispirited, appeared. This was his clone from Mount Donghao. Father, my original body has been killed? Xian's face was filled with anger. Father will investigate. I can't touch the god's castle, but I can still find the killer and kill him. The black-clothed old man's words were filled with cold killing intent. In Donghao City's god's castle, the masked woman was very angry. So many years had passed, but no one dared to have any ideas about the god's castle. She was certain that Knight Sorrow's goal was to use the god's castle's array formation to hide some things and then push the blame to the god's castle. She was somewhat regretful. She shouldn't have let Knight Sorrow leave. She should have just killed him. However, at that moment news came. The original body of Mount Donghao's great elder's son, Xian, had been abducted from his residence. His whereabouts were unknown. Xian was the target of the god's castle's attention. After 2 failed assassinations, he definitely had to be paid close attention. Do you know who did it? The masked woman asked. I bribed a monarch rank guard of Xian. He told me some things. He didn't see the battle, but he was outside when the great elder of Mount Donghao got someone to do a divination. The divination master divined that the killer was a man in a white robe. Judging from the color of his hair, his exposed skin, and his figure, he wasn't old. The divination result was that he had arrived at the god's castle. Then, the image was cut off. The masked woman muttered softly. That bastard. He came to our Donghao City's branch to humiliate us. However, he's quite capable and has some brains. She naturally knew who did it. At this time, only one outsider had come to the god's castle. That was Night Sorrow. Elder, are we going to continue investigating? Our divination master can start divining from the moment he left the god's castle, the masked man said. As a member of the god's castle, they all felt angry and humiliated for having ideas about the god's castle. What's there to divine? He did what you couldn't do. You have to endure the humiliation. This matter ends here. The masked woman waved her hand to interrupt her subordinate. Then, she flashed away and went to the teleportation array to start the teleportation. Night Sorrow teleported many times before returning to the ethereal imperial city and the god's castle. Hurry up and get on. As soon as Night Sorrow entered, Elder Naylan brought Night Sorrow into the underground castle. How is it? Elder Naylan asked. It's done. This is his corpse. This is his storage ring. Because it was rushed, I didn't open it for inspection. Night Sorrow took out 2 storage rings and said. In the past, Night Sorrow used to call himself Sir to hide his identity. Now there was no need. Elder Naylan and Lang Lai knew everything about him in the blood battle arena. There was nothing to hide. After checking the storage ring containing Xian's corpse, Elder Naylan was stunned for a moment. She looked at Night Sorrow because the corpse's condition was unsightly. The male symbol was gone and there was a wooden stick protruding from the back. I really didn't do it. When I went to kill him, he was about to rape a man and a woman. I knocked them out and brought them out. Then, the man and woman vented their anger. That's the result. Noticing Elder Naylan's gaze, Night Sorrow understood that she had misunderstood. So that's how it is. This lord is very puzzled. You shouldn't be able to do such a thing. You did well this time. You did what others couldn't do. This is the honor of our ethereal imperial city's god's castle. Elder Naylan rushed into Xian's storage ring. Standing on the side, Lang Lai, who had been silent all this time, patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. This mission was very difficult. This Lord and Elder Naylan have been very worried. We didn't expect you to return unharmed and even save someone. I was just lucky. Night Sorrow said with a smile. The item is here. It's this rune. Night Sorrow, this rune is somewhat useful to Ren Fu, but it's meaningless to you. Do you want this rune or 2,000 points? Elder Naylan asked. Give it to me. Just give me the points. Night Sorrow didn't hesitate. He carried out a mission and earned points. Chapter 1590. Damn. Why is she still chasing after me? Didn't she say that she would only kill me if she did it again? Night Sorrow was surprised to see the masked woman appear. ZW forever. Free. Look. Sageh. She's a lunatic, but it's fine. She won't get angry at us or do anything to you. Wait here, I'll go take a look, Elder Naylan said. Elder Naylan and Lang Lai left the private room to receive the masked woman. Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea. He wanted to wait for the woman to leave before going out. In the lobby of the God-Fiend Castle, the masked woman snorted when she saw Elder Naylan and Elder Lang Lai appear. I thought your ethereal city branch was so arrogant that you wouldn't want to receive me. Hee hee. Elder Chiu, what are you talking about? We were busy just now. When we saw Elder Chiu, Elder Lang and I immediately came out to receive you, Elder Naylan said. He was also wearing a mask. Busy? That means that little bastard is back. Call him out. He has to give me an explanation, Elder Chiu said. What explanation? You're a guest. We'll receive you. You can forget about denouncing us. Lang Lai's attitude wasn't very good. Lang Lai, what do you mean? The masked Elder Chiu was a little angry. He did a mission and came to your territory. What's wrong with going around your branch? If you have the ability, don't take out the mission and let the mission continue to hit you in the face. Lang Lai replied coldly. Don't be so sarcastic. This isn't a matter of going around. You can't say it out loud. Do you want to bring shame to our Donghao City branch? I can be the scapegoat, but I can't take the blame without knowing the truth. Elder Chiu said. Elder Chiu, have you thought of a problem? The mission member doesn't have anything to prove his identity. How can he explain it to you? Calm down and have a cup of tea. The mission is completed and everyone's face is preserved. Elder Lung, don't be agitated, Elder Nayland said. He didn't want to have a conflict. He didn't have anything to do. Elder Nayland, I'm very sorry. I didn't think things through. I only felt that I had been tricked, but in reality, I've wronged him. Elder Chiu was stunned for a moment before he spoke. Now that you've spoken, it's fine. Let's go and have some tea, Elder Nayland said. All right, call that kid. Elder Chiu cupped his hands towards Elder Nayland. It's best if you don't shout. When he discovered that you were here, he asked, why did you chase after me? And what else do you want to kill? Lung Lai said as he looked at Elder Chiu coldly. Isn't this a misunderstanding? However, this fellow is too cunning. The first time he went to the God-Fiend Castle in Eastern House City, he said that he wanted to join and then said that he would consider it. The second time he went there, he still used the excuse of joining and said that he needed to consider it. Logically speaking, whoever tricked us like this should be killed. The first time he went there, he used the God-Fiend Castle's array formation to cut off his own clues. The second time he went there, he completed his mission and then had the God-Fiend Castle of Eastern House City clean up his mess. He's too evil, Elder Chiu said. The other party has a clairvoyant. He left the matter in Eastern House City and prevented the other party from tracing to Ethereal Imperial City. This reduced the risk by a lot. It's understandable that he did this, Elder Nayland said. After speaking, Elder Nayland brought Night Sorrow to the VIP room where Elder Chiu was. Sorry, it wasn't my intention to anger Senior. Night Sorrow cupped his fists towards Elder Chiu. Do you know that this is a slap in the face? If he wasn't one of us, I definitely wouldn't have let him off so easily, Elder Chiu said as he looked at Night Sorrow. Sorry, I won't be going to Eastern House City in the future. Senior, please don't worry. I won't accept missions in that area either. Night Sorrow said. He wasn't stupid. He had caused a huge mess there. If he didn't have to go, he naturally wouldn't go. If he didn't have to accept missions, he naturally wouldn't accept them. Why are you saying this now? Since you are one of us, you can go if you want to. I'm not a petty person. Elder Chiu was stunned. Not going? What if there were more difficult missions? She naturally wouldn't reply to Night Sorrow's words. Haha. Night Sorrow, if you go there to carry out missions again, you can go to the God-Fiend Castle and all the clues will be cut off. Elder Chiu remembers your aura and won't make things difficult for you, Elder Nayland said with a smile. He naturally understood that Night Sorrow's words made Elder Chiu feel awkward. Then Night Sorrow would like to thank Elder Chiu. Night Sorrow cupped his fists towards Elder Chiu. I have to say that this mission was completed beautifully. Not only did you kill that bastard to get rid of evil for the people, but you also saved your reputation. So what if there were layers of protection? With the Heaven Monarchs of our God-Fiend Castle, it was a piece of cake, Elder Chiu said. The conflict was resolved. When it came to missions, she was very confident. If they didn't solve this mission, the God-Fiend Castle of Donghao City would lose its reputation and status. The three elders were chatting and informed me if there was a mission. However, it would be best if there was more time. Besides, with such trash, even if the mission points are low, I will accept it. Night Sorrow stood up and said. After Night Sorrow left, the three elders took off their masks. Elder Chiu had a delicate face and didn't look old. Elder Nayland, this little guy is very strong. According to the information that I have found out, the target's residence is protected by an Emperor-class array formation and has 6 Heaven Monarch bodyguards. It is really hard to succeed in the mission. Otherwise, we wouldn't have failed twice. We even have to take out the mission for everyone to think of a solution, Elder Chiu said. His combat ability is very strong, and his control of the situation is also very good. Therefore, although we felt that the mission was difficult, we still recommended it to him. He didn't disappoint everyone, Elder Nayland said. How long has he been in the God-Fiend Castle? What is his status now? Elder Chiu took a sip of tea and asked. He has only been in the castle for a short time, and he has only completed 1 mission. Elder Nayland laughed because it was hard for others to believe. Then, Elder Nayland talked about the details of Night Sorrow's first mission, and also talked about Night Sorrow's current situation. Incredible. Young people nowadays are really incredible. You all report this mission. I also have to add on because I know the difficulty of the mission the best, Elder Chiu said. After Knight Sorrow returned to his residence, he received a message that someone had declared war on him. It was a powerful heaven monarch from the Umbra Prefecture. Normally, the heaven monarch of the Umbra Prefecture and Knight Sorrow had no grudges. However, the key was that this heaven monarch named Hua Du was now under Yang Yu's command. The situation doesn't look good. I might have been exposed, Knight Sorrow said after pondering for a moment. Your last mission was exposed? Datura looked at Knight Sorrow and asked. It should be. Actually, I shouldn't have used the Green Lotus Jade bracelet, but so what? In the blood battle arena, if they dare to challenge me, I will dare to fight, Knight Sorrow said. Chapter 1591. Why is she here again? Knight Sorrow frowned. Gong Xian was a problem. He didn't care about Guanyue Manor, but Gong Xian's master was a big shot. It would be troublesome to offend her. She was the great elder of the City Lord's Manor. If the City Lord's Manor gave any orders, then Knight Sorrow's foundation in Ethereal Imperial City would be wasted. She wants to spar with you, Datura told him the reason why Gong Xian had come 2 days ago. Spar. Let's forget about it. Why is it still not over? Knight Sorrow was a little angry. He didn't object to spars, but he hated entanglements. Spars could improve, but Gong Xian was a big problem, so Knight Sorrow didn't want to have anything to do with her. Even if he won the spar, it would be a problem. Hee. She said it's just a simple spar, Datura said with a smile. She probably got some pointers from her master and didn't want to talk to her. Knight Sorrow took out a jar of wine and poured himself a cup. Did it go well this time? Datura naturally knew what Knight Sorrow had gone to do. It went well. Knight Sorrow looked at Datura's curious expression and told her what had happened. I didn't expect there to be such a scum. You should have roasted him and fed him to the beasts, or thrown his corpse into the dark abyss to torture him to death, Datura said. I've turned in the corpse. Forget it. I killed his original body. His doppelganger can't do anything, Knight Sorrow said. That's not bad, Datura said. She only cared about Knight Sorrow's success. Knight Sorrow then told Datura that in the future, if there was anything he didn't want others to know, or if he didn't want to be divined, he could go to the Divine Castle. The Divine Castles in other cities might reject this, but Ethereal Imperial City probably wouldn't. This was a benefit for being on their side. After listening to Knight Sorrow's explanation, Mandala froze for a moment. Her greatest worry was that someone would discover Star Moon City and the Primal Chaos Realm through her whereabouts. Hence, every time she returned to the Primal Chaos Realm, she would be extra careful. Even so, she still felt uneasy, worried that someone would divine her whereabouts. Now that she heard that the great formation of the God Devil Castle had such an effect, she naturally felt much more at ease. After that, Datura told Knight Sorrow about the situation in Hua Du, was one of the more famous heavenly monarchs in the Shadow Manor. He was an expert in shadow techniques. What was shadow techniques? They could create many phantoms in battle. These phantoms could also attack, making them very difficult to deal with. I know him. He's on the list of experts from the blood battle platform that Lord Fu Wu gave us. Since he wants to fight, we'll continue to kill. If there are Saint Spirit Stones, we'll earn them. Our Primal Chaos Realm needs Saint Spirit Stones to develop. In the future, when we have more Saint Spirit Stones, I'll set up a spirit gathering array for Sky City. By then, Sky City's cultivation environment will be even better, Knight Sorrow said. I have confidence in you. Why don't we take the Saint Spirit Stones and let Ji Dao and Laning bet on you? That way, we'll earn hundreds of thousands of Saint Spirit Stones every round, Datura said. That's not appropriate. The blood battle platform gives us 1 million Saint Spirit Stones every time. This is equivalent to giving us what we deserve. If we're insatiable, it'll make people dislike us. Everything else aside, from giving us the manor and the list of experts from the blood battle platform, it's already very generous of them, Knight Sorrow said. Nothing in the world could be hidden from others. The blood battle platform was very powerful, so naturally, they were well informed. Some people and things could not be hidden. If Knight Sorrow were to earn Saint Spirit Stones without a bottom line, he would be despised by others. You're right. We're already earning Saint Spirit Stones very quickly. My thinking is a bit off, Dachura said. Asterisk 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 at this time. Song Ning and Wufing arrived at Night Sorrow's manor. You two have something to talk about. Wufing greeted them. We're just chatting. Big brother, old Song, take a seat. Night Sorrow took out a pot of soul-nourishing tea and brewed it. What's going on? Why is the Shadow Manor so hostile towards you? How did you provoke them? Wufing asked after taking a seat. Maybe I accidentally offended them. But trust me, big brother. I don't like to stir up trouble. I won't annoy people for no reason. But if I do, there must be a reason, Night Sorrow said. Haha. Brother, what are you talking about? If you provoke them, then so be it. If they want to bite you, they have to look at their teeth first. If you can't beat them in the blood battle platform, then I can't do anything about it. That's because you're not as good as them. If they dare to play dirty, I'll help you as much as I can, Wufing said. In fact, it was also a promise. In this world you have to have the bigger fist. Night Sorrow smiled. He didn't feel anything about the Shadow Manor's current actions. If they wanted to retaliate, then so be it. After all, he had killed them first. There was nothing to complain about. Night Sorrow, the Celestial Master Pavilion's business is very good. But some of your pills are so expensive. Can they be sold? Song Ning asked. She had been to the Celestial Master Pavilion once yesterday. When she saw the price of the pills, she was speechless because the price was indeed high. I don't know much about business, but I know one thing. Saint Spirit Stones can be earned with ordinary pills. But rare pills are different. You have to exchange them for valuable resources. Most of the time, Saint Spirit Stones can't buy top-grade resources. If you want to exchange them, you have to accumulate some high-end resources. Night Sorrow said. This was also his inner thoughts. He wasn't a native of the celestial realm. If he didn't have enough resources, then he had to accumulate them. You have the right idea. Don't worry, we won't interfere with the business of the Celestial Master Pavilion. As for how much you can earn, it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. Song Ning took the teapot and poured a cup of tea for herself. Old Song's business is big, so you definitely won't mind. But I don't understand why you want to cooperate with my humble shop, Night Sorrow said. Actually, it's nothing more than investment and profit. Some businesses invest Saint Spirit Stones, and the profit is also Saint Spirit Stones. In your shop, the investment is more complicated, but the profit can also be more complicated. For example, when you enter the Emperor Realm, what I gain is the friendship of the Emperor Realm cultivators. Now that you are the Emperor's preceptor, after you enter the Emperor Realm, your potential and strength in alchemy will be much stronger than other Emperor's preceptors. If I ask you to refine something, will you refuse? Song Ning said bluntly with a smile on her face. She wanted to see how Night Sorrow would respond and what his attitude would be. Of course I won't refuse. I will remember those who helped me on the road of life. If I can help them, I will not be stingy, Night Sorrow said. Actually, this isn't a business deal. It's a communication. Communication between people always starts like this. Didn't you and your brother start from doing business? If you need any help, you can come to me. But your brother knows that my business is big and I'm busy. Don't come to me for small things. Of course, I might not be able to do big things, Song Ning said after drinking a mouthful of water. Chapter 1592. Haha. Are you not telling the truth? Song Ning laughed. Then let me ask you something in front of my brother. Is there anything you can't do right now? Wufing put down the teacup in his hand. You want to talk, right? Then let's talk. If you need anything, even if you want to deal with Yang Tianlai or Gong Yufan, I can go to your door at any time. Because we're friends. Because it's worth it. You know the specifics. Night Sorrow can't do it right now. We're not that close yet. If I help you regardless of the cost, I won't be able to explain it to myself. Song Ning slammed the table, his aura rippling. You're doing it again. Brother, don't mind her. She's just like that. Wufing smiled apologetically at Night Sorrow. Song Ning's words were very direct and hurtful. Night Sorrow, my words may hurt you, but I'm telling the truth. Everyone's value is different. Everyone's goal is to create value. To put it simply, why did the Blood Battle platform give you this mansion? Because you're valuable. When you can do whatever you want, maybe the Battle Emperor will give you a seat in the city. This is the way of the world. Of course, other than values, there are also some emotional factors that affect these rules. Song Ning said. Boss Song, you're right. Night Sorrow understands. Night Sorrow smiled. Song Ning's words were direct, but not enough to hurt Night Sorrow. Song Ning didn't value him very much, and they didn't have a deep relationship. Song Ning naturally wouldn't help him for everything. Night Sorrow, in the past, you've always been the one who set the value of others. In the celestial realm, we're just small fries now. However, I believe that one day, no one will be able to judge your value. Only you will be able to measure others' value. Datura looked at Night Sorrow. Song Ning's words didn't affect Night Sorrow, but it made Datura angry. Yeah, I know. As long as we work hard, there's nothing we can't do. If others can do it, we can do it too. Maybe we don't have a good foundation, or maybe we're lacking, but I've never felt that we're worse than others. Night Sorrow nodded. There was a bit of an awkward silence because everyone had different thoughts in their minds. Night Sorrow, I'm sorry. Song Ning pondered for a while, then cupped her hands at Night Sorrow. She didn't think that what she had just said was wrong, but Night Sorrow was a young man, and her words could easily hurt him. There's no need for that. Old Man Song's words are the truth. To be able to consider my feelings and apologize is a kind of kindness. Today, I've also learned a little more about Old Man Song, Night Sorrow said with a smile. This is also a kind of kindness. Hee, your worldview is really different from the average person. Just because of your worldview, you want me to treat you tonight? Go wherever you want to squander. Song Ning was in a good mood. He waved his arm and said. Under Song Ning's lead, the four of them went to a restaurant. The atmosphere was much more relaxed. Then, Wu Feng asked Night Sorrow what they planned to do next. Big brother, my original body has been in seclusion all this time. No matter what my doppelganger does, it's fine. If they dare to challenge me, I dare to fight them to the death. Night Sorrow said with a smile. He was full of confidence. But if the doppelganger dies, it will cause the soul to be incomplete. So you have to be careful. Don't take my words too seriously. If you have any problems, you can find me. I will help you if I can. Song Ning said with a smile. Thank you, Song Ning. I won't hide it from Lord Song and Big Brother. Others may have such misgivings, but I'm not afraid. I'm a realm lord in my hometown. I have the world's origin to protect me. So what if my doppelganger dies? The world's origin will protect my soul. Even an emperor can't control the world's origin, right? Night Sorrow said. He said this to tell Song Ning that he was right. Realm Lord. That's rare. But you have to be careful. If you really anger the big shots, they can still suppress the world's origin. Song Ning said. Then what if it's a high-level world, a world that's going to become a large world? Datura asked anxiously. That's very difficult. What kind of situation is this? Okay, you husband and wife win. You have more capital. Song Ning said speechlessly. She was a bit shocked. Brother, Big Brother has to say something. I have to admire you. Although realm lords are extremely rare, there are still some in the vast celestial realm. However, they are all low-level worlds. They might even be near destruction. Wu Feng said. Night Sorrow's world is a newborn world. It's only a few 100,000 years of growth. However, it's already surpassed a high-level world. Datura said with a smile. This was Night Sorrow's pride. It was also her pride. A few 100,000 years of growth, and it's already surpassed a high-level world. It should be you, the Realm Lord, who led the development of the world. Amazing. Song Ning gave Night Sorrow a thumbs up. Her evaluation of Night Sorrow had also changed. After drinking, they parted ways. Night Sorrow and Datura returned to their residence. Song Ning and Wu Feng arrived at Wu Feng's residence. QM head. Wu Feng, in all these years, you've only met one brother. But now you've met such an amazing person. I really have to hand it to you. Song Ning said. At the time, I just felt like they had a good temper. I'm the same as you. I only found out today. Wu Feng shook his head. It's impossible to take him in as a subordinate. His ambition is high. His ambition is in his bones, in his soul. He exudes nobility from the depths of his soul. Without a proud and noble soul, how can he become a realm lord? How can he be recognized by the heavenly Tao as the virtuous great sage? The entire Misty dynasty is going to be shaken. By the way, were my words a little hurtful today? Song Ning looked at Wu Feng and asked. Now you know how to regret and hurt people? But Night Sorrow won't mind. Wu Feng smiled. This was the first time he saw Song Ning regret. I don't regret it. I just feel like I didn't think it through. He's not even 200 years old. In fact, he's just a child. No matter how much he's been through, his endurance can't compare to us old guys. Song Ning said. I just realized that Night Sorrow was right. You're very kind. Ordinary people can't feel the kindness under the strong. Wu Feng said. To be able to get such an evaluation from you guys today, it's not bad. Tell me, if you go on the streets and say that Song Ning is kind, will anyone believe you? Song Ning asked Wu Feng. Of course no one will. But is it more important than whether people believe me? You don't care. Wu Feng coughed. Yes, I don't care at all. I haven't had many friends all these years. You Wu Feng are one. You think it's enough that I'm kind. That little guy is the merit grand sage. If he says I'm kind, then I, Song Ning, am kind. I've thought of many ways to cure your old illness. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do. Song Ning sighed. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.